Hello, everybody. My name is Quest1 Faustus. Hopefully, everybody on this channel, or any of those who are watching, know me by now. But just in case, I am a tabletop-focused VTuber, streamer in general. I, on the odd occasion, play games, but my main passion is tabletop. And hopefully, that shows today, because today we are starting, I don't want to say completely brand new, but something of a revival of the first campaign we ever streamed. That being A Simple Walk. Now, slightly rebranded to A Simple Path, as we have changed from 5e to Pathfinder. There has been a shift of things. Characters have changed, the story has been adjusted, locations have been altered, but many things are the same, and those who have been here before may, poor Ditto has gotten an ad. But yes, anybody who has been here before may see some familiarities and similarities. Today's session will primarily be the introduction of the brave 7 characters who have so valiantly allowed themselves to be subjected to myself and my world. And so I think there is no grand overarching what this story does not begin with a world imperiling plot, no great demon lord to drive those here in the world towards greater heights, and no horrible plague encroaching on the world. It is a world of hello, Red. Yes, PP. Hello. It is a world of some normality, though it is very much different from our own. There are nations, there are religions, and there are people simply wishing to live their lives. Right, you don't get to name my world. Don't. In this campaign, we will be following the story of 7 such individuals trying to get through life and make ends meet. And maybe somewhere along the way, they might even consider themselves heroes. And so I think it's only fit that we begin at the start for each of them. So I'm going to begin by introducing... who should we begin? They do? I think it might just be when you're joining the stream. Wonderful. Alright then. I'm going to start by unmuting my players. Who should we begin with? I think... let's begin with the wandering mercenary himself, Blake.
Ooh.
Alrighty then.
Blake's story starts perhaps a little more tumultuously than others. His life has been one of vagrancy, of never really having a solid home. Your life is one of transitory nature. Welcome in, Kian. Hello. Poor Ditto. Jeez. Twitch is being relentless today.
Twitch is evil, yeah.
Yeah. Flick. Your life started without much support. Oh, now it decides to pop up.
There we go.
You're under no obligation, Ditto. But yes, Flick. Your life started as an orphan. You were adopted by an ambulant privateer, let's say. Something a little more sophisticated, a little more polite than piracy, but not far from it. It was a happy life despite this, as you found yourself with both a surrogate father and an adoptive sister, with even promising prospects of becoming a highly ranked officer, or think of a perhaps even more elevated position within the privateering company that you found yourself in. You did, however, have a little bit of competition, that being your adopted sister. Am I correct to say that you never really thought of her as competition?
Yeah, not really.
But she most certainly thought of you that way.
Yeah, Flick certainly thought of her more as kin, as not really flesh and blood, but blood in the metaphorical sense. Family, really.
Thick as thieves, you could say.
Yeah.
And unlike her, she was a little more on the ruthless side. She was authoritative, commandeering. Thank you for the resub. Thank you very kindly, Ari. Welcome in. She was authoritative, downright draconian in some ways. And you, being both a freedom-loving spirit and someone who believed in the heart and soul of your father's teachings, that of freedom, of cooperation, of a company that supports each other and elevates one another through teamwork, as well as a sort of code of honor that not many... It has been a while since I've managed to stream something other than Genesis. But you've, what was that? You always maintained a certain level of honor and lines you would not cross, which obviously clashed with your sister's philosophies. And so it is that eventually, being the level-headed, conscientious objector that you were to her decisions and her philosophies within the company, you became an obstacle. And before long on a job to go procure a powerful artifact from the grave of a nefarious and infamous pirate, there among the scrambling dead, the howling winds, and the sharpened blades of your own crewmates, your life was ripped out from underneath you, and you were forced to flee. As in the melee between the undead and what was once your family, headed by your traitorous adoptive sister, you fled. You cobbled together a raft with but a few straps of rope and some driftwood, and paddled like your life depended on it, because it very well did. You were no longer home, and you no longer welcome aboard a ship that was your home. And so you struck out on new horizons. And just like your life always was, you were moving, ever shifting, ever changing. Until, as all things lost adrift on the ocean tend to, you found yourself whipped ashore at Woetide. Woetide being the nation, well, loosely speaking, you could call it that, that's the most analogous to Shipwreck Cove became a country. It was mostly an inland strait, surrounded by jagged rocks and horrible, insurmountable currents that found yourself crashed on the rocks and then taken in to the Shipwreck Nation. You found yourself right at home, filled with dishonest and larcenous individuals, murderers and thieves, con men, and folks of many stripes.
We can hear you, Perry. It works.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And there amongst the rastabouts and the vagrants like yourself, you found work. You became a sword for hire. There among the cobbled together houses and the shanty towns, you became something of a name. With your training in navigation and in economics, some of the more sophisticated skills that you learned in your time as a second hand or the right hand to your father, it elevated you above the usual prospects, those being the far more rough and tumble sorts, the uneducated, the crude. You fought with panache. You spoke with a silvery tongue. You knew skills that few others had to offer, and that made you a rare commodity and much sought after by the closest thing that could be considered nobility within Woetide. Those being the capable warriors, those being the captains in need of advisors, and those being the merchants that needed bodyguards. However, your penchant for honesty and honor did not make you popular after anything more than a few weeks in their employ, so you bounced between employers quite often. Until eventually, you had enough money and enough resources and enough pull within the city of, or the nation of Woetide, that you managed to get yourself out of there. And hopefully to brighter prospects. Who knows what you seek, whether it's a life of more honesty, whether it's finding a station amongst proper nobility, perhaps even royalty somewhere as their royal guard or their bodyguards. Or maybe you just want a quiet life. But what you did manage to get, and what will hopefully be a springboard to something newer and greater, was a trip to Haven. The island paradise that sits nestled in the Korok Sea. It's a turtle nation, primarily, that is known for its ever-fair weather, its constant parties, and the 1 week of the year where work is not illegal, but highly discouraged. It's a week of bombastic partying, alcohol ever-flowing, and much merriment and festivity. You spent a week there on vacation, among many, many, many others who sought it out, as that space on the islands is much sought after, and it's as is the laissez-faire nature of the nation. First come, first serve. Those who get there early get to go right to the partying, and they have a spot for themselves. After about a week of partying, however you choose to do so, it's soon time for everything to start packing up, people to get back to work, and for those who aren't native to the island, well, to get the hell off their land. Because as much as they like having travelers come through, land is a rare commodity here on the Haven archipelago. And so they don't really like it when people take up permanent residence and treat the whole island as their permanent vacation spot. Not that they could afford it. And so it's time for you to get moving. Because to stay here in the time other than the week of wheel, as they call it, will probably drain your pockets dry immediately. However, as is fortunate for you, other nations and companies know this, and they know that there are people on the islands probably bereft of coin, just about broke after a whole week of drinking and partying and having to pay for night's stay, coming to offer work, cruising by on their ships and offering employment to all the vagabonds and roustabouts. Yes, exactly. And one such individual approached the inn you were staying. Maybe partaking in breakfast and an early drink. Someone in a crisp-looking suit and, of all things, a black veil around their head, their back highlighted by the sun leering through the door, unfurls a scroll and begins reading a contract, one that offers their employment, good pay, if only you hunt down a few people owing money. And so the job on offer is to become a short-term debt collector, a bounty hunter, if you will. It requires you to go north for a while into some only barely navigated countryside. Not quite uncharted territory, but close. It's very wild, and as such, very few folks will happily go there, given how bitter cold and uncivilized the region is. The hopes here being that the rough and tumble sorts here in the inn won't mind that, and will do just about anything for a good pay and to get the hell off the island before the debt collectors and the island police start doing that for them. Usually sent home on driftwood, and you, I think, are done with that.
Yes.
Also, welcome in, Celeste. And that is where your story starts, as we switch to the next one. I think next we'll focus on Frey.
Hello.
Frey, your story doesn't change much from the first time we've introduced you, but let's go over it again. You are a fairly young half-dragon. One who has grown up under the inhospitable ministrations of your father. That being the dragon known as Orthos. Holed away. Oh.
Ari gifting subs.
God damn it, Ari. Thank you. Thank you very much. You didn't have to do that. Sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Continuing on. Thank you. Anyway, Karya, you grew up under the oppressive rule of your father. It was uncompromising, unfair, and most certainly unpleasant. You were put in charge of the hatchery. You're... God damn... Ari! Stop it!
I saw that message pop up and went, so you're telling me I can't do something? I was like, I feel Ari opening their wallet. We love you, Ari.
Thank you. Okay. Alright. Right, okay. Alright, I need a second. Karya. You're not quite sure when exactly you were brought in, or when you were born, or even if Orthos is really your dad, because, well, you've been here a bit. Sorry, I need to backtrack. I'm very, my brain is...
Someone got flustered. Good
yes,
job, Ari.
Brain is going tick, tick, tick like a broken hard drive. So, what you do know is that you were put in charge of the hatchery. It is a cave tucked away in the back of Orthos' complex, which is sequestered away into the snowy mountains up in the north. Thank you very much. The hatchery itself is not necessarily all Orthos' brood, but it's most certainly dragons he intends to press gang into his service. That could also be the case of many of the half-dragons he has, though in the case of them, he prefers to only have ones that are specifically his spawn, because they tend to be more loyal, and the human side tends to interfere with the whole subjugation process. The hatchery itself is a mix of both his own children and those he has managed to pilfer from raiding other dragons' homes. And it's your job to take care of them. And you take that job very seriously. Even though you're mistreated, you're at the bottom of the social totem pole, being both half-brood and one of the weedier ones, the runt of the litter as far as the half-dragons go. Your many half-brothers and sisters and cousins and surrogate siblings and uncles and aunts, one and all, treat you like grist. Like something to be kicked to the side and only good for one purpose, and not even one that's particularly noble in dragon eyes. And it's one day while you're taking care of these eggs that there is, well, it's been a little bit since we've gone over this. Karia, what happened that day?
The day it all went bad, yeah.
Pretty much. The day your life was ruined. At the same time, quite possibly the best thing that ever happened to you.
Oh, I got lit on fire. It was a pretty normal day in the hatchery, all things considered. More shouting, beatings, and the like, but moving eggs from place to place isn't necessarily a glorious job, but it's an important one. And, well, for lack of a better term, there was an odd egg in the bunch, one that specifically we kept excluded from the others. Well, for lack of a better term, we quarantined it. It was corrupted in some way, but Orthos, for whatever his reason may have been, decided to keep it along. It was a side project for myself, I suppose. But
And of course, yourself being considered disposable, you getting corrupted, and whatever other side effect might happen from being exposed to the egg was acceptable.
I was acceptably disposable.
Expendable,
Which, to be
you could say.
fair, expendable would be a good word. But what I do know is it got cold, real cold, and almost within an instant I was, well, taken aback as we were besieged. A dragon of ice tore through my home and basically killed all my kin, and I only survived by the sheer luck of the fact that the lead door that kept that dragon egg back also made for pretty damn good company, and they didn't happen to notice it, or they couldn't get it open, or I don't really know what happened that day, but I do know that my father died. If I could really say I was heartbroken, I'd be lying. And, well, I took my leave and took the egg, and I carried with it, well, I carried through the Orthos Mountains, oh, I would say for about 2 years.
Then that you eventually found yourself in the company of the Fearbowl and the dwarves of the icy North Mountains. That being in the northern reaches here, the nations of Wote, Shiloh, and Sovanosk. Which, there... What color of dragon is free? Oh, yeah, Karia is a purple half-dragon. What color he was before, or if he was a different color, who knows?
Yeah, I didn't end up getting any of the traits until after I got corrupted.
Yeah, which is why he was considered the runt of the litter. He didn't really have much as far as dragons went. Yes. Enter the dragon. Yes, so it's there that you eventually found yourself of utility. Because in comes the runt of the litter as far as half-dragon is concerned, but a 7-foot-something, very muscle-bound young man with no money and no prospects. And wouldn't you know it, there's plenty of enterprising dwarves who would love to have someone like that hauling cargo. So, you eventually, during the summer season, when the frozen wall was melted and passage to the south was open, were on a boat hauling cargo for some ethically questionable dwarves, and then found yourself taking a rest stop in the archipelago nation of Haven, where the dwarves decided to kick back, drain the beer reserves dry of the nearest 5 inns, and you yourself were informed that your services, while appreciated, are no longer needed. Especially since they had unloaded all their cargo, they had a fresh payday on them, and were intended to go bring that back to their home nation, and they were making a direct trip, and outsiders are not allowed in. So it's either this, or you jump ship just before they hit the nation. You can swim the rest of the way somewhere else, because they're not making any stops. So here you are, with your pockets a little more lined, and a little better equipped than you were when you left the Orthos Mountains, but still in need of employment. And wouldn't you know it, there's plenty of people here offering such, especially since the celebratory week has ended, and the usual round of vultures and prospective employers are circling like buzzards. It is at some point, just as people are shipping out and you see more and more boats leaving, that you are approached by a besuited and veil concealed, sounds like a younger man with a little bit of a wisp to his breath, very breathy, where he says, "How would you like to help me make back some money?"
Well, I don't have much need for coin, but I suppose if I'm helping somebody, we can help out.
Very good. And so it is that you are contracted, leaving in about a day's time, to go collect some debts up north. Someplace that hopefully should be a little familiar. Also, welcome in, Sona. Next on the docket, I think, let's go with our good man Hollow Hollow.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Oh god.
This boy's story begins in a small island nation, oddly enough, sitting within an inland sea, a little bit to the southeast. Budged up against the Orcish mountains of Orland, where the hard-working and clandestine tribes of the Orcish tribes live. And Shibak, the lizard folk nation, dominated by primarily silk and spice trade. It is a warm and tropical nation that is broken up by bodies of water and the rainforest to the southeast. And then to the south is the nation of Wotide. It is a hot spot of much sought-after goods and great trade. Any enterprising individual who wants to make a vast amount of money and is not afraid of steep competition either finds themselves here or with connections here. The people here, or at least the merchants here, are cutthroat, businesslike, and it's sink or swim. And so it is strange that positioned in this little inland sea between the orcs, the lizard folk, and the pirates of Wotide is a small island community. One that has, but would logically speaking, have been dominated or driven out by the damn near predatory neighbors. But they have one thing going for them. The people of the inland sea are dastardly. They are tricksters. They are by no means malicious, but they've spent a long time outsmarting all of their neighbors and have such, through either mastery of legal loopholes or trickery or other such, found themselves both respected and cursed by their neighbors and have kept a tight hold of their homeland. Holo Holo is where we begin. He is a young man suffering slightly from a lack of direction. Holo Holo, would you like to begin telling your story?
Oh Lord, I don't even know where to start. So I take it it's daytime out, like probably in the afternoon or such.
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say he's probably going about his daily routine, just studying wildlife, just sort of cataloging all the stuff he finds with his book, hanging out with his little capybara friend, or donkey rat.
The donkey rat, yeah.
Technically, yeah, donkey rat. Just currently just hanging out with them, not doing entirely too much. Occasionally interacts with some of the other island goers, but typically he's just kind of doing his own thing.
Holo Holo, your life here on the island has been an interesting one. They're unusual folk to all the outsiders. That much you know, at least from outside perspective, so they're normal to you. Accompanied by your capybara friends, one of which is a fully grown capybara. Another one is smaller, almost as if in miniature, that rides typically upon its back. And they often tell you, very happy to watch on as you struggle and stumble through your days. And sometimes there's a glint in Lolo's eyes whenever something goes wrong. There's a sort of intelligence behind those eyes. It drives you mad to this day. That'll make these visible for everybody else, I think. I'll play. You are a patron, a contractee of something greater. And ever since you formed that contract, you've had this feeling that bothers you in the back of your mind. This pressure that grows slightly every single day as this mounting feeling of when will it come? Like a swelling tide that eventually breaks and forms a wave. And it's never the days you expect that adventure comes knocking at your door. It's always when you least expect it.
Who came knocking at my door?
No, I was being metaphorical.
Oh, okay.
It's never when you expect that adventure comes knocking at your door.
Oh, I didn't hear the word adventure. I thought you meant someone was literally knocking at my door.
No. Though someone does come visiting. Not you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a disturbance in the village square. Upon investigating, it's something that's not too unexpected. The village does occasionally get visits, whether from envoys looking to trade, diplomats looking to solidify partnerships, ones that very rarely work out in their favor, and sometimes would-be conquerors. Today seems to be the latter, as standing in the square, flanked by what look to be 2 bodyguards in loose plate and chain, are 3 lizard folk. The ones to the side stand at the ready, loose, but also backs rigid, heads low as their necks curve. And they keep a level eye on the village folk who, for the most part, go about their day and regard them with something between disdain and amusement. But the one in the middle, his scales are a bright red. His frill running along the back of his neck stands high, and his body displays patches of thicker, rougher scales than the others. You know this to mean that he is dragon descended. A mark of high status in lizard folk society. The closer one is to the dragon ancestor, the higher one is considered. This does not replace merit within the lizard folk society, but it's a good start. It has also led to more than a few dragon descended being pompous and a little bit up themselves. Something that is immediately visible by the way that this man holds himself. His head is high, his neck is flexed back, his shoulders are set back as his fists are planted against his hips, and the disdain that your people show for him does not even rival the sneer he shows you. This is not an unfamiliar thing, though it is not common. That every now and again, some young upstart, or some old has-been, comes to your island nation, thinking that they will be the one to subdue the island folk, to take their land that is so much sought after, to unearth the secrets that your people keep hidden. And so it is as he stands within the plaza of your village and begins proclaiming, honestly, the most outlandish things. That he has come to civilize you all. He has come to bring you to the mainland, to show you the wonders and the plenty that his people have wrought. And with nothing but words, he will show you just how much of a mistake you have made by staying here all these generations, how far behind you've drifted, how you lack without the technologies of the outside world. Your isolationism, your unwillingness to connect to the world outside has turned you into throwbacks. What do you do about this?
So I imagine he's like in a village square of sorts right now.
Yes, he's standing in the main plaza of the village.
So I'd like to imagine that Holo kind of walks through this area essentially holding a Lolo, kind of like he's carrying a box, but like on like in between his arm, he's just holding the capybara.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna look down at it, knowing that this capybara tends to be an intelligent little shit. Does she have like a sort of like she has an idea, like that kind of look in her eye?
There is a twinkle in Lolo's eye, and what you could swear is a grin. You're not sure that capybaras can even smile, but you think that this one may be.
Take it you have a plan, and I'll let you do it as long as you don't get me killed. Do we have a deal?
Lolo lets out a little chitter.
Okay, and then he's going to carefully let down Lolo.
Mm-hmm. Lolo doesn't move for a bit, just eyeing the square as this upstart lizard folk continues with his crocodilian hissing and proclamations. Every now and again, you hear him drop a name, one that's fully unfamiliar to you. But it seems to be one of course, possibly his father, or even his grandfather. Ancestors being highly venerated in the nation of Shibak. And as such, nepotism is a slight issue, but that's an issue for another day, perhaps. Lolo then wanders off into some bushes, out of sight. Just turns 90 degrees, walks into a fern, and then disappears.
Was that it? And I'm just gonna Holo saying that in the direction that Lolo went, or like look in the direction. Yeah.
The people of your village are gathering around. The speech, if nothing else, is loud and draws attention. And as such, if it's going to ruin their day, they may as well watch and see what exactly this man has to say. Not that it's anything impressive or new, but it's entertainment, and it breaks up the monotony. It is as his speech is beginning to reach a crescendo that you spot some movement. The guards have become just a little bit lax. Their shoulders are starting to sag somewhat. Their hands aren't on their blades as tight as they were before. Yeah, as the swords are in their sheaths, but the hands clasping them are loose and simply using them as a support rather than at the ready. And then this lizard folk, so full of bluster and regality and pride, as he, from a trunk next to him, is pulling out these odds and ends that are kind of familiar, kind of not, as he proclaims the use of each one, honestly just going over everybody's head, demonstrating the marvels of the outside world and that which his nation has to offer, if only they would uproot themselves and plant themselves somewhere richer in soil. His speech is interrupted halfway by a shriek that resembles a dog whistle. As his body goes rigid, his neck extends and his head goes skyward. And more than a few people in the village have to clamp their hands over their ears. And then, from between, and I should explain this, that lizard folk in Shabak don't really wear clothes very much. Sometimes they'll wear armor in ways that accommodates their bodies, but they are people from a tropical region. And so they tend to wear mostly piercings, jewelry, and silk sashes and veils that they drape over their bodies. Less for modesty and more for fashion and to display their wealth. And half obscured between the silken frock, I suppose, that is wrapped around his waist, from an area between the legs, dangling by its teeth, is Lolo. The lizard folk begins dancing in an erratic fashion, trying its best to use its tail, its claws, its feet to dislodge Lolo, screaming in panic at his guards to get him off, get him off, get it off, get it off! Eventually breaking down into draconic to, in a fit of panic, get this thing off of it. Lolo, in his infinite wisdom, holds on very, very tight indeed. And if anybody has ever been bitten by a hamster and known just how much that can hurt, whether it's a hamster or a gerbil or something, a rodent of similar teeth and bite force. And imagine that from the largest rodent in the world, now dangling with its full body weight from the section between your legs. Lolo eventually comes loose, rolling a couple times in the dirt and dust, kicking up a small dust cloud, and then stands up, seemingly not bothered in the slightest, now with a shred of what looks to be hide and scale clamped between its foreteeth, as it trots on over to you, Hollow, and then drops it at your feet. Meanwhile, the lizard is currently curled in the fetal position on the ground and is being supported by his guards, one of which then looks over to you, obviously seeing Lolo sitting now at your feet, looking at you with a look of smugness would not even begin to paint the picture, as the slight glisten of dark red blood on its teeth. The guard sees that, looks up at you, makes a conclusion, and his hand immediately goes to his sword. At which point then, the rest of the village has just about had enough fun, no longer even the slightest bit intimidated by this poser who immediately folded in on himself, and begin to tighten up and form a small crowd, a mob even, around you. This is normal here on the islands. Community is everything. Community is family. If you threaten one of them, you threaten all of them. It's not long before the guard makes the wise decision, takes his hand off of his blade, and they go about dragging the young merchant prince and his trunk all the way back to the boat and off the island without another word. Eventually, the crowd disseminates and goes back to their daily life. There's a few pats on your back. There's a few strokes on Lolo's head. Of course, she responds by nipping at their fingers and driving them away. Previously, people used to cuss her out for doing that, but now it's the norm for Lolo. It's how she got her name.
Yep. Rather crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
And then, once everything is sort of stabilized and you're left sort of just standing there, someone familiar approaches. The town shaman. The village shaman, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have an image in mind when they think of a shaman. Then again, people tend to have an image in mind when they think of a witch. And neither you nor your mentor / father figure really abide by those stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
Your mentor is a man in clean-looking robes, primarily a mix of, I would say, primarily a mix of grays. He stands with a sort of aged dignity, though his face is obscured by a heavy mask, one built of a mix of metal and wood that comes to resemble, of all things, a howler monkey. He doesn't say a word to you. Puts a hand on your shoulder, and then with the other hand gestures for you to follow. He leads you back to his hut, where he then sits you down, pours you both tea, takes off his mask, showing a withered, sun-beaten, and scarred face that you know comes from both a life of fighting for the village, for himself, and from many a ritual gone awry. He then sets down the mask on the table and makes a few things very clear to you. One, he got a vision the previous night. I saw it in the stars, in the swell of the ocean, in the darkness of my dreams. Holo Holo, it is time for you to move out. I think you've spent quite enough time here, and I think it's been made very clear by both yourself and she who dwells deep. It's time you got out and got a job. Do you say anything in response?
Holo's just gonna blink a little bit before responding with, "Okay, what job?"
What are you asking me for? You're a grown adult now. The only thing I know is that all the signs say you're not supposed to be here. Well, not any longer. This is your home, of course, but... Well, let's just say that lizard prince isn't going to be very happy with how that went, and he's not going to give up, that's for sure. It's probably for the best you let us deal with that, as you being here might slightly inflame things, and also, well, let's be frank, cause problems for us. And it's not like you and your donkey rat don't already cause problems for us to begin with.
It's not really like I told her to do that, you know. Surely didn't expect for her to bite that off.
You set a creature loose whom was named for its insanity. That creature is as much your responsibility as its own.
I suppose you're fair when you put it that way.
Sorry, Celeste. Just to go over something. In Pathfinder, capybaras, their primary name is donkey rat. So that's how they're labeled. I apologize for that, but that is the way that things are.
Wild.
Yes. But yes, the shaman then puts down his tea and says, "So you've spent quite a lot of time here. You've grown up. You're a young man now. It's about time you made your own way. Normally, this would require you finding your place here on the island, finding your niche, so to speak, coming into your own, learning a set of skills. But I don't think you were ever meant for that. Wouldn't you agree? You came floating in on a basket to us. The waves have ever been your home, and the ocean has always been your mother more than anybody else. And I think it's about time you went back. I think she's calling for you. And I think she's calling for a reason. What that reason is, I couldn't possibly tell you. Her primal wisdom is far beyond mine, and I could never divine what it is."
Holo taking his words rather literally. He's trying to remember a time where he remembered someone from the sea calling him.
Sees the look on your face and goes, "You know we speak in metaphor, yes?"
My apologies, I keep on forgetting that we do that.
My apologies as well. I forget that sometimes that's just the way you do things. Now, I think the Sea Mother has a purpose for you. And it's not here. I think it's best you begin striking out and finding your place in the world. And eventually, that may take you back to us, and we will be enriched for the wisdom and for the new possibilities you bring back to us. You being one of the few ambassadors we tend to send out. Now, knowing you, it's going to be something very interesting indeed. I see great change in the future of the tribe, and I think you are the vector for that. That being said, pack your bags, you're going on a boat. I spoke to a mariner not a week ago, and organized passage for you. The boat leaves tomorrow. I suggest you get packing. At which point he then stands up, puts puts his hand on your head for one last time. Says, "You've always been a bit different, but I think that's..." Oh, what do I even need to say at this point? You're going to do well, Holo Holo. As he then leaves the tent and leaves you to yourself. I assume you get packing.
I'm so sorry. I'm being dragged away constantly. What did you say?
Oh boy.
Just now. Just now.
Were you there for all the stuff that the shaman said?
Yes.
Okay. He said.
Yes.
I said. I assume you get packing.
Yes, I do begin packing up all my stuff.
Wonderful. So it is that you are brought into a rowboat, brought to the shores of Shibak, and then given directions to get to the western port of Shibak, well, one of the many western ports of Shibak, and then find yourself on a boat out. It's to your surprise when you find out that you're headed to a place where there's going to be a lot of partying going on. And to jump ahead a little bit, you find yourself in Haven, and then after a week of, well, that's the question there. Does Holo Holo spend a lot of time celebrating, or does he just spend his time in an inn room poring over books?
Considering this is a fucking introvert's nightmare.
Yeah. I assume you basically would lock yourself away in your room.
Yeah, it's like when the inhabitants leads me to my room. It's like, and like they're about to tell me about the schedule stuff that's happening. I just immediately close the door.
Yep. Every now and again, you get someone knocking on your door, offering to share their drinks or something else. Take care, Celeste. Have a good day at work. Thank you for dropping by. So suffering through the loud music, the constant sound of shouting and celebration and everything else, you make it. And then you're left with something else. A complete lack of direction. As you have found yourself in an archipelago nation, the inn prices just, well, they just increased by about 100-fold. And you need to get off the islands quickly. Thankfully, there are people here looking for able-bodied individuals in need of work. And so you are approached by a man in a veil and a suit. Slim, but holding himself in a dignified manner. Shoulders back, back straight, chin high. His pale features are obscured behind the veil. He looks you up and down and says, "Are you any good at handling books?"
Am I still the one being talked to?
Yes.
Currently?
Yes, you are.
I mean, I suppose.
How about balancing them?
Balancing books.
Sorry, if this was a linguistic issue, are you any good at arithmetic and account keeping?
I mean, I suppose I am.
Excellent. How would you like to help me make some money?
What does this man look like again?
Tall, back straight, shoulders back. Features are pale, his face is obscured behind a veil, and he is himself dressed in a suit.
Sounds familiar.
Would I would I maybe know who this is, or what this is?
Probably not.
Okay.
If you just want to roll me a raw intelligence to try and suss out what he is. Also, I really should deactivate that redeem. I'm not playing Cult.
What
I'm not
redeem?
playing. It's just something that Sona just redeemed. It's from Cult of the Lamb. I really should take it off.
So just pure intelligence.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Natural 20.
God damn. So,
Yeah.
it's not something people in your world or in your nation are particularly. Okay, mini quest it is. Ta-da! So it's not something your people in your place have to worry about a lot. Should probably flip that. Loading PNG. Transform. There we go. He is Whittle. I am now mini quest. So yes, the. Oh no! Now I have to whisper. Oh dear. Tell
my
everybody.
God, you've been
Tell it.
shodified.
Tell everybody. I was saying, people in your nation don't have to deal with them very often. But from the way he holds himself, and from his pale complexion, and from the veil and such, you can tell from the way he holds himself and the way he speaks, educated and dignified and pale, he is a vampire.
I knew it.
More than likely, he is from the Mordani Confederacy. You and I will shove you in a walker.
I just saw that. Yes, somebody.
Nobody bullies me. Not anymore.
Name-o.
Not since I learned the magic of gun.
Wait, no.
I'm so proud.
I was born in the dark, molded
Molded
by
by
it.
it. You simply with you. Yes.
Jesus.
Magic missile, otherwise known as Guac 15.
Oh no.
So anyway, yes, you know that this man is in fact a vampire. And he is more than likely from the Mordani Confederacy, which are known to be impartial, neutral, and very businesslike. Cutthroat, you could say. Blood-sucking vampire warriors and such and so on, yes.
You seem to be a Mordani. To think you would have also had an accountant. Suppose that's not always correct.
But you see, well, first of all, I applaud your astuteness. Nah, most of the people here are still too hungover to even look me straight in the eyes, let alone determine what exactly or where exactly I'm from. That only makes me more certain that I wish to get you in on this. Second of all, many of the Mordani are far too comfortable in their current offices and their firms to make the trip north. Not that the cold bothers us. We are undead after all, we feel nothing of it. But it just so happens that when you're a creature of comfort, you tend to not make compromises. You, however, stand to make a tidy profit from this. You are yourself capable and educated, as I can tell. However, you're also in need of employment, have few better options, and, well, let's be honest, I can always hire more people, and people won't get nearly as upset if a vampire ends up getting killed, so to speak. Yes, I could. Also, I could hire a fellow vampire, an accountant, but I would end up paying substantially more and face far greater consequences if I did. That, and I would be denying the people here at exactly this time of year the opportunities for employment.
Holo's gonna put his hand on his chin. He's gonna say, I see. So I'm tax deductible.
You are right off.
Hmm.
He gives a little chuckle at that. It's mirthless, but it's there.
Mm-hmm. I suppose I'll take you up on that offer.
Excellent. We'll be departing shortly. Please gather your belongings and make your way to my boat. And that's where we'll switch to the next person.
Oh Lord.
Oh baby. Who next? I think, since she so desperately wanted to bully me, let's go with Siren.
Oh. God damn it.
I see you defaming me, Frey. So
I would do nothing of the sort.
never ever. So Siren,
Yes.
you're an otherwise pleasant girl from a quiet, sleepy town. You began your story, honestly, in a far more well-adjusted manner than most people in your line of work. And that's why it comes as even more of a surprise that someone like you would find yourself in circumstances such as these. It is... Well, I'm not sure exactly how far back we want to wind this, but I think we'll do it slowly after you find yourself evicted from your home, since there's not really anybody left there. Following spurious guidance and intuition and a hope to gather more information. Yes. We find ourselves in the Quaternon Union, a national union between 4 mostly independent merchant powers, that being Lorbus, Naya, Rosaino, and Flominsk. Wedged between the United Dutch, get that in a second. The Aerodine Empire to the north, and the Theocracy to the south. Your town is barely even on the map, which suits the people there just fine. You grew up there with your mother. Not really much of a presence of a father to speak of. And your mother really never really sought to bring another man into your life. So it was just the two of you. And the other people in the village. And as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. You grew up quite well. You were and you remain calm, agreeable, a source of kindness, and a rock for the other people in the world. The other people in your hometown. Whether it was born from a young urge to help people or a later developed feeling of compassion, you and your mother found yourselves as the healers for your town, both mentally and physically. Aside from applying first aid and medicine and other such, and the odd bit of healing magic, you also often gave advice and more or less played the role of the town therapist. Usually that just took the form of sitting down and chatting over a cup of tea. And so you found your place in the town. And as I understand it, it was deeply gratifying for you. And so it's understandable that it was deeply upsetting when you returned home one day to find the town just gone. You thought at first perhaps you'd gotten lost and wandered into a meadow somewhere where you thought the town was. After days of surveying the landscape, no. You came back every single time to the same open stretch of land, and there wasn't even a mark left behind. No holes where the fence posts were, no foundations from the houses, no footprints, no grazing from the cattle. Just gone. Just open plain where once your hometown was. So now uprooted and without a home, you find yourself on the road. Plying your trade as a healer and as a therapist after a fashion. And boy, do the people out there need it. There's enough horrors and enough hardships in the world that there is never a lack of want for your capabilities. It is while you're doing this, if you find yourself wandering south, that you're caught up in something of a disturbance. The people of the theocracy, who regard the divinely blooded, that being ASMR, as not just royalty, but as divinity. And it was remain in your home nation, or find a way. Sorry, lost track there for a second. Your homeland promised very few answers. That being your goal. You seek potentially information and revelation about the nature behind your hometown's disappearance. And leads have brought you further and further afield from your home until eventually you find yourself in the throes of a revolution in the theocracy to the south. A violent purge. Cracked die, thank you for following. Please take a seat at the table, and I hope you enjoy watching. In your quest for answers, you found yourself wound up in something violent, disturbing, and for the people of the theocracy, undeniably traumatizing. Would you have remained to help, or would you have fled?
I think that I would have remained to help them in any way I could.
Excellent. I expect nothing less. And so in your remainder there, as the families of the duchies that ruled the theocracy are gathered up and summarily executed to a one, the violent fights, the trades of terrifying miracles and magical power, great battles fought with bitterness and bloodshed. There are the few lights of hope that remain. Those who, in the midst of it all, remain and help their fellow man. Those who offer succor and comfort. And it's all quite a lot. No one would have blamed you had you bowed out, had you folded under the weight of it all, of the expectations and the sheer volume of people that required your help. You weren't on your own, but those who were simply devoted to helping and healing were few and far between. It did not help that a lot of the magically capable, those who could offer healing magic, were members of the nobility. And they were many of the people sentenced to execution. So the workload only increased. Burial rites needed to be observed. bodies needed to be buried, and the wounded needed to be sought to. And then there's the aftermath. The care for the wounded, the help for those of the psychologically disturbed, those scarred by battle and the sight of their loved ones and their families, and all manner of others being ripped away from them in the violence of the revolution. And in a display of inner strength that you perhaps weren't quite aware of yourself, you stuck through it. To call yourself a war veteran perhaps might be a stretch, but you stuck through it. And your efforts were not unobserved. While much of the conflict itself saw thankless work, hands deep in the bloody viscera of those wounded in the battles, and having to see some, frankly, atrocious happenings. Those whose lives you saved, and whose minds you helped stabilize, saw fit to reward you, and to thank you. In some cases, you were even offered titles. You were offered by one upcoming duke the position of a family healer. But it was unfortunately a position that did not offer much opportunity for answers. The newly formed United Duchies of Naissance were unfortunately lacking in any sort of influence or power. They had just gone through a violent revolution, and the people now claiming the seats of nobility and leadership were looked on and despised by the rest of the continent. They would see no help from the outside. Even the people to the north of your homeland would only deal with them grudgingly. They risk the ire of the Eridine Empire to the north, and even then, as if the United Duchies have much in way of resources or capital. So it's not that they could trade with anything but goodwill and scant resources that they had, all used up and broken down in the throes of the revolution. Besides which, there's still a lot of people out there who need help. And so instead, you find yourself on a ship. Those whose lives you helped and saved pooled together and chartered a vessel. The vessel itself would go out in search of new trade prospects, alliances, but you were given a seat of honor on the boat. You would not have to work a day if you didn't want to while you were sailing. And so after a couple months on the ocean, eventually, the ship made port in an archipelago nation known as Haven. And perhaps in a bit of whiplash for yourself, going from the horrors of war to the never-ending merriment of the vacation archipelago, the tropical paradise. And after a week of letting down your hair, maybe giving comfort to those struck by hangovers and alcohol poisoning. Knowing Seren, I don't see her allowing herself much chance for celebration when there's work to be done.
Indeed.
But eventually, someone notices this. And it's as the merriments are wrapping up and ships are all leaving en masse that you're approached by a darkly dressed, slim individual, perhaps a few inches taller than you, offering you position on an expedition north to go reclaim some debts and hopefully solidify a settlement. I saw your tireless work and the thankless, frankly, Where I come, we have a saying that time is money. And you spent quite a lot of time here doing work for, frankly, no reward. So I would like to ask you if you would like to do the same, only make a profit. Would that appeal you? Would that appeal to you?
The reward I seek is knowledge and information. Would there be such a thing in the place that you promised to bring me to?
He puts a finger to his lips underneath his veil, hums for a moment, and says, "Perhaps. I could see to it that some of my contacts could provide you the information. Perhaps even, in the trip north, you could form new connections. You might even find yourself making contact with people far more influential than myself. I could provide you information, answers to any questions you might have. That is what you seek. I could introduce you to individuals. Though, quite honestly, there is little better way to acquire information than to form a network of your own. And I can think of little better way to do that than to build one around yourself, as it is oh so difficult to maintain such a network when you're on the move. Now, I have not told anybody else that I've offered this. But once the money has been collected, I intend to invest that money into a small settlement. One of my own. Not that I would own it myself. I intend to delegate that to somebody else. But if I were to invest this in a location, and you were to find yourself there, my intention is to have it become something of a through point, a stepping stone to the wider uncharted territories to the north. And were you to find yourself in a position there, well, you'd have people of all kinds passing through. And you would have myself, and my influence, and my contacts. Given time, you may very well find what you seek.
I personally care little for influence and coin, but it is true that having more connections would benefit me, especially for the information I seek. I trust that my goddess is leading me in the right direction, and a path that promises answers is a path I'm willing to take. So, I agree to your job offer.
You see, for the first time, a ghost of a smirk through the veil, as he brings both his hands together and says, "Wonderful. And given your hard work here on throughout the duration of the festival, I have little doubt that you will earn your keep. And as such, I have no doubts and no reason to doubt that you will be most instrumental to myself, and I will have every reason to assist you in what you seek. Now, to be clear, this is a business arrangement. Fulfill your end of the bargain, and I will most happily fulfill mine."
Understood.
Excellent. We depart shortly. If you would, my boat is over that way. Please embark when it is most comfortable for you. Sometime this day, though. Wonderful.
I'll begin gathering provisions for the journey and just getting myself settled.
Wonderful. Okay.
Perhaps even do a little prayer before we part.
Very good. Next up. Okay, since we were just there, why don't we go to Mallory? Mallory, are you with us?
Yeah.
Hey there. Okay, so we just explored the horrors of the revolution, though we only explored one side of it. On the other end, with a very different perspective, is a young man, heir to one of the noble houses, the theocracy, though not necessarily in much position of influence himself. He was, most topically, something of a spare. Never had very many expectations put upon him. He was never treated with much grace or much dignity by his house. But eventually, through ruthlessness, cutthroat ethics, and hard work, he did eventually find himself with his own little barony to look after. When he built up himself through hard work and through connections and through delegation and subordinates, given a plot of land otherwise thought unmanageable and unprofitable, managed to turn it into a bastion of good business, only for it all to be ripped away from him in the heat of the revolution. One of the last things that the young man saw as he was ousted from his home that he built from the ground up was his servants insisting that he flee and make flight out of the duchies, or out of the theocracy on his own, lest he find himself executed, along with the rest of his family and his extended kinship. Like the rest of those here, this young man now finds himself adrift through life, and less metaphorical, on the ocean. Eventually, having secured passage aboard one of the many fleeing boats carrying refugees, those who did not want to be caught in the fighting, and the nobility who managed to make it out just in time, now scattered across the ocean, across the globe. This young man, Mallory Charmaine, with nothing but the possessions on his back, his horse, and his falcon, now finds himself, well, it's bittersweet. There's not really much reason to celebrate, but caught in a festival, week-long, choking the water with boats parked, and very much on his own. Mallory, how do you spend the week?
I spend the week finding a good place to stay, place to preferably as a stable, and well, just a place to stay, like a high quality inn.
Okay. With what you will manage to bring with yourself on the trip, you would be able to afford it. It's a good thing it's only a week. If you were to be here for an extended amount of time, that would most certainly drain your finances. Not there. Oh my. But you, perhaps to ease your mind, perhaps to distract yourself, find yourself one of the finer inns that still has a room available. And do you spend your time in your room, or do you partake in the partying?
Well, I'll initially spend some time in my room, but given the sound of partying, and not being able to, ignore it completely, I just go down to the party.
Okay. So eventually the sound draws you out of your room and out into the streets and into the bars and inns, and maybe at some point you get swept up in it all. But it does eventually end. And soon the distraction fades away. Oh, you're already here. Okay. Eventually, the distraction itself fades, and you're once more left with reality slapping you in the face. Ships are departing. The boat that you came in here on left about as soon as it could. And with your stay in one of the more upmarket inns, you are a little bit scant on cash, as well as a little bit bereft of direction. And then you are approached by a tall man in a dark suit and a veil over his face. He's about level with you, carries himself in very much similar fashion. The moment he stands before you, you can see you've immediately met someone very much like yourself. His posture, the inscrutability of his face, even through that you can tell that he's dissecting you, pulling you apart with his eyes. And the first thing that he says to you is, "How are you with people?"
You say that again?
He said, "How are you with people?"
I can manage them just fine.
You see the lips under his veil curl slightly as he then chuckles and says, "I like that response. Most people would say, 'Oh, I get along with them just fine.' But I know right away that you have just the mindset I'm looking for. How would you like a position managing some?
Well, given that you found me here, I would be keen on taking up your offer. Might I know what it is you need me for?
I'm going to be sending off a group of people to go reclaim some debts. I'm hoping you'll take part in this, because those that succeed in doing this will be receiving a down payment, and the money that will be procured in return will be going into investing in a more long-standing venture, one that is focused around people, as it were. This venture will require managerial acumen, it will require knowledge of many things, it will require the right people as well, and I'm hoping that in my stead, as I have many things to manage myself, that you will, among other people, be able to make the squeaky wheels turn. And I see you yourself, as he looks you up and down, are more than likely no slouch in a fight, so you'll be able to defend yourself in the lawless lands to the north that I intend to send these people to, and hopefully solidify a hold there. Now, this investment of mine, whether or not you stay there long term, does not ultimately matter to me, though I would prefer if you would consider that, though you have time, so if you wish, if you succeed at this. But the most crucial part is getting the beginning going, getting the wheels turning to begin with, so to speak. Once they're turning, they'll be far easier to manage for yourself or somebody else. In short, I'm hoping that you will I'm not giving you sole administrative privileges. Make no mistake of that. I am not quite that foolhardy. But do you think you'll be able to run a ship like that for a while? Maybe a little more than a small settlement for a time. You'll have opportunities to build it up, to invest further, to expand, or simply go on your merry way if you wish.
While I can't guarantee a truly faultless management, I can make do with what you give me. But make note of this. I refuse to be a expendable pawn. If that is what you intend.
His grin widens a little bit as he then says, "Wonderful. I have no intention of hiring anybody who considers themselves expendable."
And we are in agreement.
Excellent. I think this partnership will be fruitful. I seek not flawlessness, only success.
Then you will get success at any cost necessary.
Excellent. As he then is now toothy smile, pearly white, flashes from underneath his veil, and says, "Right this way," as he then gestures towards a, frankly, very gothic-looking ship in the harbor. The front end is dominated by what looks to be a skeletal gargoyle. The ship itself is decorated like something you would see, as if like a cathedral had been converted into a floating monolith. It looks positively grim. It says, "I'm still looking for some other potential workers, more crewmates, more able-bodied individuals to act as support. I don't intend to send you there ill-equipped. So if you'll excuse me, I'm still on the hunt for it. Please make yourself comfortable on my ship."
Very well. And before Mallory walks toward the ship, he brings his fingers to his lips and gives a loud whistle, calling for Esmeralda. And then he reaches into his pocket and blows a beast whistle, calling for Schultz.
As you
He intends to bring them along.
As you begin striding towards the boat, pushing its way out of the stable and flying its way from where it was circling in the sky above, a horned horse and a falcon join up alongside you. The horse draws up along your side, and the falcon perches itself upon your shoulder.
Perfect.
And then we go to the next one. Seeing as you're with us now. Usagli-chan. Thank you very much for following. Also, Suki redeemed self-care. Everybody, make sure you stretch, drink, take a second to unshrimp.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, Ari. The vampire ship is not unlike a space Hulk.
Ooh, my knees are cracked. Ow.
Nice.
I didn't expect us to actually meet the Mordani Confederacy people this quickly this time around.
Only met one of them so far.
Yeah. Oh, I thought that's who we were all getting picked up by, essentially.
Well, you're being picked up by one of them, one enterprising individual.
Okay. From all across the world.
Fun fact: while
From many walks of life.
while everyone was quickly doing, well, not quickly, while everyone was doing their the character introductions. It was quickly in the background changing, trying to fill out the last bits of my character sheet. I got the important bits to see like filler stuff like bed rolls, pots and pans, stuff like that. But yeah.
Hmm.
I had to make so many budget cuts just to get that darn ring.
Okay. So, next up on the docket, since you're here now, Jacob.
Oh, I have to do my voice. Oh no.
Oh no. It's okay if you just talk like yourself. You don't have to do this.
No.
Why would you do
Maybe.
Why do you do this to yourself?
Maybe we'll see.
That's a good size. Okay. Jacob. Yours is an interesting life you lead. You come from a far-flung nation where, to say you, I think the less said, the better, all things considered.
Truthfully, yes.
But through everything you've been through, and through everything you've been forced to go through, the indignities, the life lessons, the ousting, you now find yourself on foreign shores, surrounded by raucous roughhousing, much drink, and where previously you had a pretty good gig going. Now, frankly, you're a little bit confused. Or am I incorrect?
Well, confused on what? As to what happens?
As to what comes next.
Oh yeah, what comes next is a mystery. Just living off the land, essentially.
Thankfully, you're able to do pretty decently here, as there's no lack of things that need fixing. Not to mention no lack of people willing to buy just about anything in their drunken states. There are people here with more money than sense and more alcohol than brains. You make a pretty decent living while you're here. And doing so, manages to catch somebody's eye.
Whose eye did I catch?
Well, wouldn't you know it? When the week's merriments are over, and the money that you accrue disappears just about as quickly as you get it, you're approached by a tall, darkly dressed man in a veil.
For you real quick, right? I need to say something real quick. Could you do DMs?
Ooh. I won't wait. Yes, correct. Sorry, I'm very...
Just reminder.
Alright, yes.
Still works, but... No, what you said before still works. So.
Okay, yeah. Oh. Cracked Eye rating with 14 viewers. Thank you very much. Welcome in, everybody. You've just come in to the first session of ours for a new campaign that we're doing. Welcome in.
More people.
More people. Welcome in. Make yourselves at home. Thank you for coming by. Take a seat. Watch on. If you just got done doing something, whatever you were doing, please tell me. Have a drink. Relax. Sit back and enjoy. And if Cracked Eye, if you need to go take a rest or something for a while, I will absolutely understand. Oh, today's a good day. Thank you all for coming by. It's always nice to have more people more fresh faces come flowing in. So, Jacob.
People to embarrass myself about.
Oh boy. They don't know you. They'll never know you. Don't worry about it. Strangers on the internet. Don't worry about their opinions. So, the individual in question inquires if you would you like a chance at some steady employment? Or at the very least, the chance to make a decent amount of money to then open yourself up to further prospects.
Well, first things first. Can I do a sense motive check immediately?
Yes, you may. He continues, you look like you seem to be a woman of faith, someone of some mystic capability. And we could always use more like that.
Ooh, nice.
Very good.
Hello there. Fuck. Oh, hello there. The what's the word? The holy garbed lady said. Vixen says.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever do you mean for employment? I'm just a simple wandering priestess who, I go where I'm needed. So, I definitely won't turn down work, but,
Well,
my, my skills definitely aren't, anything to what you might expect.
Well, I am in need of capable individuals who can hold down an area for a time. I'm not necessarily looking for the best of the best. I'm not even necessarily looking for hardened mercenaries or expert, say, survivalists or such. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Please take care and take your time. Yeah, no, I know the post-stream exhaustion and how kaput your brain can be afterwards. Please. Yes. So, he continues with, Ari, be nice. So, just because you play a kitsune like that doesn't mean everybody does. I'm in need of capable individuals who can make things run. And as everybody knows, any good operation is made up of many individuals. If you want to make a full operation just out of the best of the best, you'll find yourself swiftly underpopulated and without. Yeah, sure. You'll find yourself swiftly underpopulated and with everybody pulling double shifts. So it's not much of it. This is not of great concern to me. What is of concern to me is that you seem to be a capable individual who knows her way around her specialty. So I would like to offer potential employment. The first terms of it, which would be to make a quick trip north to regain some assets which are being denied to me. After which, those assets will then be invested in a more long-term operation if you'd be interested.
Alright, before I respond, I don't know if he said something yet. I got a 23 on my sense motive.
I saw.
Alibi.
He is not withholding anything from you. He is, however, most certainly trying to put them in the most beneficial light possible.
So it's very clear that he is saying what he needs to say.
He's buttering you up a little bit.
Yeah.
He's trying to butter you up a little bit while not withholding anything.
Well, Taco puts a hand to her face and goes, "Well, I'm certainly, I'm flattered by the offer, but I don't know what skills you see in me. I'm just a priest. All I can do is take care of others.
There will be a lot of people in need of care.
Well, if that's what's needed, I sure can do at least that much. I mean, I definitely can't turn down gold. I definitely know people who need some. So, if you need people to help, I mean, sure. I've got nothing else here, really. I'm just a wanderer, really."
Then you will fit in just fine with the rest.
I'm hating this voice more and more. I hate it.
You can change it however you wish as you go.
Yeah,
You're not.
I gave
Don't
it a shot.
don't
I gave
don't.
it a shot.
Yeah, don't marry
That
yourself
sounds
to
good,
it.
honestly.
I gave it a shot. I'm not feeling
I
it.
like
Do what you feel
Oh,
fits.
well, I appreciate that, my lovely player, a fellow player.
No.
I can hear the
Hell
suffering.
yeah.
So yes, God,
So,
get a room, you two. That's to Ari and Vera. So with that, he will then do a quick bow and say, "Excellent." He then motions over to the cathedral on water that is his boat further back and says, "You can join the rest over there. They're getting settled, and all you need to do is grab your things, embark. We'll be leaving later today."
she gazes at the it's very a gothic boat, isn't it?
Yes, very much so.
She gazes and says, "Oh my, how." Mm,
I understand it is most unusual of someone of your own caliber to be seen on such a boat. More than likely, a little uncomfortable, and I pray your forgiveness for that.
Well, I appreciate your kindness. Yes, it's a bit unorthodox from someone of my what's the word career, but well, oh
I-
well.
I assure you,
And
you'll be most welcome and seen to when you are aboard.
she bows and then scampers off to go gather her collection of items.
Beautiful. Okay,
Ugh.
and lastly,
Quick,
Hmm?
before you continue on real quick, one thing I was contemplating whether or not to do was when you're introducing my character, if you're going into my backstory, I was actually going to interrupt you as Trico and say, we don't need to hear that. Let's scamper on to current times.
I had the feeling that we would have gone that route. So, lastly, but not least, we stop by possibly the one that starts the furthest back. Vark. Vera, are you with us?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
That silence.
So, Vark's story begins a little further back than most. And to preserve the mystique, I won't be going too far into it. That's for other people to find out as we go. Because,
A fellow secret enjoyer.
Yes.
My favorite.
After all, it's down to the players to share the depth of their backstories and the trauma that they've enforced upon their characters. Yes, Vark, you find yourself deep in thought within the study of a tower. This tower finds itself in the Guaranan Union, the merchant nation that banded together to assert and reinforce their independence, squashed between the religious zealots that are the surrounding nations. That's not to say that the nations you find yourself in aren't religious. They're just not quite so enthusiastic as their good neighbors. This environment also engenders far more tolerance for experimentation, for mercantile pursuits, for magical experimentation, and the pursuit of secular interests. It is in this nation, or in this quad of nations, particularly in the nation of Naya. There, in this small, swamp-heavy nation, in a tower, in a secluded bayou, which most people would tell you is a bad thing and a bad place to build a tower, but magic. And in this tower, in a study on the 3rd floor, is a young man with skin like dusk, traced with blue tattoos, poring over yet another tome. Mark, would you like to introduce yourself?
Vark stands at a rather short statue, at a height of 5'3". But if you'd ask him, he wouldn't know if that is tall or short. It is simply what he is. Similarly, he wouldn't know whether his complexion, his tattoos, or his eye color are considered strange. Nor does he care. Vark simply is. He exists in a state of resigned complacency ever since he set foot in this tower. Ever since he began reading one book after the other, until he tires and falls asleep, only to rise again and begin anew. He has a tireless drive, a thirst for knowledge, driven by something deep, the thirst to educate. He is yearning for something, and it is with this purpose that he begins to prepare himself for a journey.
Indeed it is that among the many tomes and among the many scrolls, the literature that lines the walls of this tower, the many books penned in a familiar hand and also foreign, that the knowledge you seek, it slowly dawns on you, is not here. Whatever it was, the tower's previous owner, your mentor, so to speak, did not possess the knowledge, did not have it, whether written down or within her own mind, and perhaps there was a hope that you would find that one last book, that final book, that one you did not read yet, would house what you were looking for. But no. As you stare at the pages of the final tome within this massive tower, you've drained the entire place dry, absorbed it all like one massive sponge. Still don't have the answers you want. That one problem that needs solving, that one question that needs answering, is still beyond you. So naturally, there is but one alternative. Just turn your gaze outwards. What knowledge cannot be found here must be out there somewhere. And through the many journals of the tower's previous owner, you know that there are many capable, intelligent, and otherwise individuals out there. It is through her connections to others that she grew to such prominence, such stature in her community, to such wisdom. What you lack is outside stimulus, people, connections. She had a network, you do not. She had friends, you do not. She traveled. She discovered. She experimented. You have not. And so, following in footsteps that are titanic from where you're standing, you pack what provisions you can prepare and venture outside the tower, outside of the wards, outside of the enchantments that kept you unhungering, barely needing sleep. And so you find yourself once more in the outside world. Now, for the first time in the outside world, but previously you only glanced through glamored windows, a bright, vibrant world, completely different from your home. The sky is blue. The ground is green and brown. The trees are alight with fire and sand. And no, those are leaves. Various colors. You read about this. She talked about this. And that is a common thought as you embark on your adventure. She would know about this. She knew about this. She spoke of this. Every single thing you saw, every single thing, every path you took, every step you trod, always brought you back to her wisdom, to her cataloged knowledge. It is a thought that dominates your very existence here, your very purpose. And so, even after venturing out, meeting new people, tasting unimaginable flavors, breathing air that is wholly unlike the recycled, stagnant air of the tower, bombarded by stimuli, you stumble through the vast, wide world. Always trying to pick up new things, always trying to learn from every encounter, hoping that it will bring you along the path to what you seek. And it is through forests, through paddies, through swamps, and through the fire and flames of a revolution, the crashing waves of the ocean, through the drunken revelry, and loud noises, and the cacophony of voices, something unlike anything you've ever heard. You now find yourself, once more, sitting in a room, dead quiet all around. Just as the festivities in Haven draw to a close. How did you spend your week?
Vark has been reading mostly. Despite many discoveries on his journey, it is books that he finds the most comfort in, for they were his closest companion in the first many, many hours of his existence. He watched the others play and drink and sing and fight sometimes. He found these things very strange. How people delighted in punching each other. He contemplated joining in, but something stopped him. A doubt, almost? He was not sure. But literature, written words, knowledge of generations past, that is something he is sure about. So, instead of joining the revelry in Haven, he instead read about its history, about its culture, about how it came to be, in a hope to understand its people that way.
Vark would learn that the nation of Haven is out and out one of peace and joy, or so it is what it strives to be. It is protected by 4 goddess sisters who warded against the wrath of the overall impartial ocean deity that rules the rest of the ocean. They rebel against his iron-fisted rule of the ocean, his ambivalence to the life that skates across its surface and dwells within its tides, and seeing the cruelty and impartiality of their father, banded together to create a small haven that was guarded against all the strife of the world, a place where people could unite and revel and enjoy themselves. Small as it may be, they created a bastion of good times, fair weather, and good company. And so the turtle people that inhabit it, who were made in the image of the ocean, invite all who come through to partake of the wonder, for good things should be shared. And this is with the rising population of the world, and as more nations become seabound, seafaring, has made these things more difficult. Land is scarce on Haven, and there are even some turtles who have become somewhat bitter and resentful of the people coming through, and they've had to become more strict in direct opposition of their founding philosophy. They had to become more strict with those who pass through, forcing them out after the week of celebration, only allowing a certain amount of people to come through at a certain given time, turning away boats who come too late or during high season. But it is still a nation that takes pride in their neighborly and good-willed disposition. Not fully on display now that you are at the end of the week and seeing as the island's police and administration slowly drive out the criminals and the underbelly of the world who come through to have a good time and take advantage of the anarchy of the week, seeing it as a chance to really let loose where civilized society would not allow it, and where doing it on board of their ships would cause mutiny. Closing your book, finishing your current lesson on the history of Haven, you do feel as though you understand the people a little bit better. Though whether or not that makes you an expert, well, evidence suggests otherwise. But it's a start. What would you like to do further?
Vark rises from his chair, first of all. Before placing the book he had just finished reading back into the bookshelf he had taken it from. It takes 13 hours and 54 minutes to finish reading a book of about 500 pages. That means in his lifetime he has consumed about 14,059 hours of literature. That is over a year of reading. That is over a year of chasing revelations. He finds himself lacking still. He realizes that despite his meager attempts at connecting with the people he had met on his journey so far, he hasn't really gotten far. Neither in understanding what drives a person, nor his goal of finding that one specific thing, that one knowledge of how to do a certain thing. So he packs the meager belongings he has. It is a backpack along with a knapsack filled with some literature to read on the journey, as well as enough to last him for a couple of days. And he goes to leave the house first, and then the island.
An unfortunate consequence of the quick evacuation after the festival is there's not a lot of boats left, and those boats don't have a lot of room. Some of them are taking advantage and charging exorbitant fare to get off the island. Others are private vessels and will not brook anybody hiring seating or, worst of all, stowaways. So it's a difficult thing to find. As you're wandering around the ports looking for potential ways off the island, there are a few that approach you, asking if, in exchange for work aboard the ship, you would take that in lieu of payment to make it off the island. Unfortunately, a lot of the work that's being asked for isn't anything you're capable of or familiar with. It would require a lot of working with rigging, sails, shifting cargo, and you are many things. But physically adept is one that is, unfortunately, not something you are great with. It is not your forte.
Agreed.
And as you're wandering around the ports, you are stopped as you notice a darkly dressed man step in front of you and motion to get your attention. As your head rises and your eyes come upon his veiled face. Good afternoon. You look lost.
Varg acknowledges the man for a moment, staring blankly almost. It is afternoon, yes. I suppose one could consider me lost, yes. I
What?
am wandering.
Are you in search of something?
Many things. Though first and foremost, away off the island.
You see his head tilt back slightly, as if appraising you, and then... What would you say is your greatest capability?
I'm good at reading. People, but more so books.
Would you say that you are adept at retaining the information that you gain from these?
Quite so.
You see, the lips under his veil curl slightly, and sharp, pearly white teeth show. As he nods and says, I would have need of somebody like that. I intend to send a group of people north. And one of the, as anybody worth their salt would tell you, one of the greatest weapons that we have wield is information and knowledge. And he who has the knowledge wields the sword, so to speak.
You wish for me to be your scribe?
Oh, so much more. Should you display the capability. The place I intend to send these people is one that is barely, if not at all, chartered. The wildlife, the flora and fauna, the landscape, the indigenous inhabitants, the mineralogy, the monsters, ancient ruins, treasures, caves, everything needs to be explored, and every bit of information that expedition lacks is another trap, another pitfall that they could fall into. They could go foraging, bring back poisonous berries, and if nobody is there to identify such, that would mean perhaps an entire host of people out of commission for weeks at a time, perhaps even perishing, a loss of manpower, a loss of resources, and another nail in the coffin of the settlement and the expedition.
Shame.
Many that do not know send simply a group of builders and a group of mercenaries north and hope for the best. I intend to send the people I wish to send armed not only with the proper equipment and the proper personnel, but with the proper knowledge. And I think I see in you someone that could be instrumental to the survival of this expedition. Depending on how well you perform, I could even offer you enduring employment, steady areas, and perhaps even leads or that which you seek. I have many connections that I could offer. Would that interest you?
He perks up ever so slightly. It's only noticeable in the way his eyebrows slightly rise and the silver eyes slightly shine.
I see I've piqued your interest.
Correct. Tell me, who are you? Are you a man of honor, renown?
He actually chuckles at that. Of all the people that I have approached today, you are the only one to actually ask me who I am. Others have surmised as to what I am, but never who. A man of renown? I would not be so full of myself as to proclaim as such. A man of honor? Oh, no. No, I am a businessman, and in business there is no honor. What I am is a man with a goal, with ambition, and a man who sees the value in other people. For it is with other people that we accomplish our greatest deeds. Those who simply cut off and cast away their subordinates and their hirees and those who are perhaps even their contemporaries, when they no longer become useful, discard, quite honestly, some of the greatest tools we have available to us. If you are wondering if I will treat those under my employ well, then I can give you my guarantee. I believe in investment. And investing in people is as powerful as investing in land or any such business. And in you, I see a man worth investing, if this should be to your interest.
Ambition is not in itself an evil, nor is one to be condemned whose spirit prompts him to seek fame, be it however worthy and honorable his ways. I agree. However, I insist there will be a contract.
Naturally, I would never dream of employing somebody without a proper contract to sign. It is simply not the way of my home. Every engagement and every agreement is signed in blood and paper, lest somebody stray from their word. I think you'll find me a fair employer. And should you fulfill your end of the bargain, you will be duly compensated. And there is, of course, leeway should you wish for extra pay or to have some, if you wish for extra demands such as information, contacts, such. You do not seem to be one overly bothered by wealth. But I believe there's more than just one way of paying people. Well then, if that's the case, please follow me. I believe I've quite filled out the roster well enough for today. It's good if you come back and meet the rest of the people I've rounded up.
Here we go.
We will go.
I'll have your name.
Very good. You will, of course, need to know it when you sign the contract that we prepare back on my boat. You may call me Stanislav.
Stanislav. Very well. My name is Vark. I am beloved.
Are you?
Quite so.
Well then, beloved Vark. Welcome aboard. Please, follow me. As he then begins striding head high in the afternoon sun towards his boat. And I think that's where it's a good time to take a break, as we're at the 2.5 hour mark. And everybody get up, have a drink, grab a snack if you want to, stretch your legs, and unshrimp your backs.
Yes, indeed. So,
You don't know how tempted I was to pull out the funny voice.
oh, I was moving quickly because I wanted us to be able to get to the session. I completely forgot to bring up half of Karia. I was just like, it's fine.
Yeah, don't
To be
worry.
fair, I did for some of the stories I did skip over some elements, but those can always be introduced.
We'll figure it out.
I'm gonna go grab a
They
drink.
can-
I'm leaving the players unmuted so you guys can have your conversations and the bleachers can
For
hear.
sure, for sure.
But for those of you
I'll
watching,
keep an eye on stream.
for those of you watching,
Yeah.
I do encourage you to get up and get a drink yourself. It's just good for your health.
Brady,
I kind of feel bad for not being able to, for not like role playing as much as Flick, but
Yeah, it's fine, man.
we can save that for we can save that for just a little bit.
Yeah,
How
for
long
sure. I
is
mean,
this
we're
break
actually
again?
getting into it.
Yeah.
Wait,
We
what?
have another hour and 30 minutes, Lynn.
Yeah, but how long is it, this break?
Oh, like
Uh,
10, 15
No,
minutes.
wait, 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever. Let's make it 10. Let's make it exactly 10. So
Let's shoot for 10.
at 40 past, we'll reconvene.
40 past?
10 minutes
So
from now.
22.
22. Okay, 10 minutes from now.
In that case, I'm
Oh wait, no, it is 40 past at the moment now. Sorry, 50. So 10 to
10 minutes.
Gotcha.
10 minutes. You're right.
Hi, Addie.
Hey,
You
Vera.
know-
Yes.
Vark and Hola Hola should start a book club.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
Party book club? Ayo, party book club?
Hell yeah.
Wow, I don't get an invite. That's incredibly racist of you.
Does Karia want an invite to the book club?
You're a jock with the nerds.
He is not a jock. He is a kind-hearted boy with a pretty decent intelligence score, actually.
My
No, he's a
my
himbo.
lovely children, mayest I join the club?
Do we allow
It's not a
kitsune
self-interest anymore. I want to do it. No girls will let. No, I'm kidding.
Vark, do we allow kitsunes in this club?
Are they in pursuit of knowledge?
Probably to use
Well-
against you.
Well, ma'am, are you in pursuit of knowledge?
It's never a bad idea to have knowledge of many things.
Very well.
Very well. Collect your juice box at the front door, please.
My, how kind of you. I shall bake cookies next time.
It's cranberry flavor.
Cranberry?
Cranberry.
No pomegranates. No, okay, I'm sorry. Anyways,
Yeah, we can't have pomegranate after the incident.
not the incident. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to be on this audio device for the rest of the session. The Fraby woke up midway through, and admittedly, that was probably my bad because I left her sleeping surrounded by toys that would wake her up. So it's all good.
Dumbass.
Yeah, you're right.
We got 22. We got 20 to 21 people. That's about as much as our first stream. Like,
Yes, I know. Remy and I were really making sure to promote the stream because it's good to have people, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So that's good.
We got a few people, so this is good.
Yeah.
so excited, and I just can't hide it.
Fraby, ow. Okay, fine.
The freebie.
Talons, I can't just be carrying you for hours on end. I guess I could. Actually, I'm literally doing that.
all right. I'm back.
Very good.
For you guys, because ours not fully done. If you're curious what Trico's kinda looks like, this will be your best example.
Oh.
Except
Ah.
no mask. That's the best example I got on hand right now.
There's a vibe. Oh, I agree, Fraby, I agree.
Also, Hollow's capybara biting someone in the crotch.
Yeah, how scandalous.
How scandalous.
My.
So originally, when me and Remy were planning out this scene, it was meant to be where this guy was just terribly scared of the donkey rat. I did not expect Lolo to
Be aggressive.
rip off someone's
Yeah.
paint, yeah,
Mhm.
and then proceed to deliver me the balls.
Deliver us from evil. Deliver us lizard testes.
Your
Deliver
balls,
us from
hand them
pain.
over.
That thing, your testes. Hand them over.
Hand them over.
I'm gonna have to warn everyone to wear fucking crotch armor at night just in case now.
Everyone has to
No.
wear a cup.
Listen, Pebby. For the sake of Lolo, do not let it in Trico's room. For the, not be,
Don't let
not,
it in the car
not,
room either. I
not,
worry that
not,
Jair would look at it.
and not Trico. It's fine if she gets hurt. Just I'm worried for Lolo. Lolo
I'm
almost got
also-
alive.
I don't want Lolo
So-
to get eaten by my dragon.
So, so fun fact. Lolo in Hawaii means crazy. Paka, the little capybara on Lolo's back, means to smoke, which together they make Pakalolo, which means marijuana in Hawaii.
The weed. Damn, bro, you got the weed capybaras? Let's go.
I got the weed rat. I got the weed.
Heavy brought the good kush, but it's actually just 2 donkey rats.
I see no problem here. Lynn, do you see a problem here?
Lynn is not here.
Lynn's dead. Look what you did. Look what you
Damn.
did.
I have no regrets. Goodbye. I activate my spell card. No, I'm kidding. Wait, that wouldn't make sense.
We can do a fucking after this. We can do a fucking duel if you want. By the way.
If I mean, I don't have the ability to do much else with one arm, so yeah.
So yeah, so dueling it is.
I have my child in one arm and my dual disc in the other.
That sounds like a duel that would happen in the anime. Not gonna lie.
Yes, I'm not surprised. Oh man. Ah.
But yeah, ball thievery was I never expect. Wait. Oh my god, Julian, I just realized what happened. I just realized what Lolo did.
What do you do?
Explode your dick and smell your ass. Get bent loser, penis blast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh man. My arm is sore. Child, please.
I guess if you were calling.
But yeah, capybara incisors. If you look a picture up of those, they're fucking frightening.
Oh no, those things are monsters. I love them, but they're monsters.
I love them too, but if they were
So-
to bite you and they were to probably like nick you in like a certain part of your body, you're probably gonna die.
So what I'm hearing is Flick need to do some calf exercises if he wants to improve his jump, so he can hop over Lola to avoid the death incisors.
Yes.
He's gonna have to start fucking Mario jumping over Lola.
Lolo used hyperfang. It was super effective.
Hi, baby.
My
Flick's gonna have to get spring shoes on top of his high decks.
Me and hey Rami, me and the others are talking about how Lolo castrated a lizard man.
Didn't castrate him, but he did take a nice chunk out of him.
Yeah.
He'll recover.
his chances of having children just decreased a tiny bit. But it's
Mostly
okay.
because he embarrassed himself terribly. Nobody will
Yeah.
look
That
his
is
way
also
for a
true.
while.
And he also
I-
flailed about while it was still attached to him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So. Du-du-du.
I think that both June and Sully are still gone. Oh
Baby.
yes, but I know you're here.
Baby.
But the baby is here.
child.
That's
The
most
child's
important.
ready to roll. The
That's
child
true.
is ready to
Yes.
play.
All right, here's a
Yes.
dice. Here's a die.
So I
Don't-
just looked
don't-
up how big capybara teeth are. They're 2 incisors,
They're quite large.
and they can grow beyond 3 inches.
Bro, that's half the size of my. Never mind.
Go on, finish it.
Half the
Finish
size
it.
of my finger.
That's
That's
sorry, I
what we're talking about,
misspoke.
son.
That's actually double the size of my.
Wow.
That's actually
Yeah.
probably about the size of your finger.
Oh
It's-
yeah, my finger.
It's beautiful to me that Lolo is the antithesis to your typical capybara because usually they're very
Very
just
chill.
they're very chill. They are in harmony with nature.
Yes.
They are the monks of the animal world.
Until a jaguar pulls up on them.
And then they bite them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
And then that jaguar
capybaras
also-
are nature's, like, they've been called nature's chair before, because just how many animals they, like, just kind of sit on them and chill.
Even predators will sometimes just let them die.
Yeah, because it's better to just leave them alone.
Yeah. They're beautiful, and they also like getting scritches and stuff like that and getting rubbed. It's cute.
Hmm.
Oh, so good.
And Peppy, since I know you like prehistoric things, did you know that capybaras had a
Had a
close
really-
relative that was the size that was about as big as a horse?
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Rami because I wanted that relative on that island as well.
Josepho Artegazia, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go.
that
No shit. On that island, they do have horse-sized capybaras as draft animals.
yeah.
Dire capybaras.
Insular gigantism.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're not located anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. Islands, you can have your either island dwarfism or sometimes island gigantism. It's weird.
Quick question: when did we get raided? Did I miss that?
Oh, that was a little bit ago.
Oh,
It
okay.
was by Cracked Die. It was. When was that? That was a little bit ago.
Oh, I did hear that. I did hear that. Sorry, I
Yeah.
was, as I said, I was juggling the child. Yes, hello, child. Hello, Fraby. What's
Little
up?
Fraby.
So yeah, Rami, we got up to about 21 people watching at some point.
Which was nice. It's always nice to have people. I think it's because they might have found me in the found us in the Pathfinder category. Seen us through that.
I'm not complaining.
Chance.
It's always nice to share, to have other people who share in the hobby swing by.
Absolutely. So.
And now, there, we need to think about the rules of the book club, the Simple Path book club.
There will come
What
a
is
time
the-
where we can discuss these things in private.
I'm baking cookies for next one.
I already
Let's
know,
celebrate the occasion. I feel it. Ari's opening her wallet again. Ari, wait.
No.
I
no,
sense a
no,
disturbance in the
no,
force.
No. Stop it.
Zazabanya.
God damn it.
Hey, I got a sub as well. Let's go.
And so
Ari,
the prophecy was fulfilled again.
Ari, take care of yourself first, please.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, bro.
I'm back, by the way. Oh my god.
Welcome back.
Ari.
That is
Hey, Rami.
that is 15 today alone. And you hit red.
You did hit red. Oh, that's good.
There it goes.
You had better be in a financially stable place right now.
There we
That's
go.
that's
Very
good. It's just I still remember a time when you were worrying about that a lot. Okay,
That's
it's
true.
good.
Now, I'm not in a financially stable place, so watch me gift 100 subs.
Don't fucking do that.
I'm kidding.
I have a bunch. I have a chunk of
Also,
change
thank you,
sitting
for,
around.
thank you, Peppy, for ever giving a sub to Red.
Yeah, fuck it. I clicked on you to gift the sub. It didn't let me.
Well, no, I can't be subbed to my own channel. I'm already considered a sub to my own channel.
Watch me.
Imagine that Quest is in the middle of
Listen.
streaming something, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can't keep play. Sorry, guys, I gotta pause. I got an ad.
To my own stream. Yeah, no. It's by default you're considered a sub to your own channel.
That's good.
What's it called? By that, so but basically what I'm hearing is we gotta flood enough subs into this channel to where only Remy can get subs points. We gotta sub everyone until Remy's left, so that it has to give him a sub.
God damn it. Also,
Just give-
that's wonderful to hear, Ari. I'm glad you're in a much better place right now. You're working hard for that money, and I'm glad you're getting what's due to you.
We stand.
Yeah, get that bank. Get that bank.
We are doing great. Anyways.
Well, I
Lynn, are you
believe
back?
we're all back. Yeah, I God.
Oh
What
my
was
God.
Very sorry.
Someone just bounced a quarter off their
Yep.
stomach or
Oh,
something.
God.
No.
Lynn, are you back? Lynn, are you back? Lynn adjusts in her chair. Yeah, and then suddenly someone comes up and cracks her with a fucking lead pipe.
No, sorry. That was on my end.
I know.
The screw that was keeping the arm up gave out for a second, and I had to catch the arm.
Yeah, funny enough, I'm actually not
That sounded
using
like a
that
lead
mic.
pipe.
God damn it.
Yeah, I'm not even using my standing
I'm-
mic, because as it turns out, my headset is a better mic, apparently.
I'm very sorry, everybody, for that. That was horrible. I
They're both
Sound like a
very bad
gong.
mics.
No, it was exactly what it was. It was a gong to alert everyone that we're starting again.
Yeah.
Lynn, would you like to join the book
Gong.
club?
What book club?
The party book club that me and Vark are starting.
What is the minimum intelligence requirement to join the book club?
17.
I have an 18. Let's fucking go!
Wait, 17? Wait, hold on.
I have a 15. I have at least some book smarts, but not quite enough. But that's okay.
We're good.
I made it.
Remember.
I'm in the
Farrah,
book club.
increase it to 19, please. Increase it to 19,
Okay.
please.
I think
Got a 16 intelligence. Let's go.
we're about ready to start again.
Yeah, let's get going, everybody.
Let's go.
Oh, okay. Back to the scene. Okay, there we go. All right, so.
Oh,
Yeah, what's up,
Ari's
Ari?
saying before we do.
Check my
Oh.
DMs. Oh, dear.
Oh my god.
It is a PayPal
Oh,
donation
my.
of 2,000 euros.
Yeah.
2,000 euros, yeah.
You know what, Ari? Fair enough. Okay, so. Through one way or another, you have all found yourself aboard this admittedly very grim and gothic-looking boat. Oh, and for reference sake, we'll be going for about another hour-ish. If anybody needs to check out
Okay.
early, that's okay. We've addressed the most critical part of the session so far.
Now
yes.
for Roleplay Central.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is gathered aboard this boat. You 7 dispersed among a crowd of people. It's not a throng, but it is a decent amount of people. You see what look to be a mix of what do you call it, logisticians and able-bodied sailors and workers, people in armor carrying weapons who are obviously mercenaries. It's a good mix of people, coming from various races. You see the odd half-orc, mostly humans and elves. And yes, it looks as if this veiled man has been busy. After you've all gotten situated, and the first mate of the boat has directed each of you to your cabins below deck, as on this fairly large ship, there is enough stowage room for people to have their individual cabins. The veiled man, who Vark knows to be Stanislav, finally boards on the ship. A bell is rung, and you hear the first mate shouting for all hands on deck as you see the gangplank is pulled onto the ship. And then each of your rooms, on the door, there's a knock and a voice coming through that asks you to be on the top deck in 5 minutes, as the boss has an announcement.
Fun.
Quick cut in. I hate when you said gangplank. In my head, I heard
Yes,
barrel.
I know. Yes, barrel.
I
More
heard
barrels.
it.
Julian, you're not the
I
only
heard
one.
it.
You're not the only one.
More barrels. More powder. Yeah. So you're each bid to come to the top deck. Assuming you all comply,
I assume so.
you all find yourself mixed in with all the other people that this veiled man has gathered here on the ship. And of course, you notice that each of them stands out from what you can tell is the normal crew of the ship. The normal crew is, well, most of them are pale, pasty, or otherwise not really healthy looking in many ways. You see what looks to be a few ghouls, even a wight or two aboard.
Oh my.
And also plenty of human crew, sailors and crewmates who are going about setting up for the departure of the ship.
Well, Kari is most certainly not too shocked by this, as he's kind of used to this.
I'd like to imagine that Holo Holo is currently just doing the guy's like taxes or finances already as like an abacus out, and he's just while he's standing there, he's just doing.
Well, he hasn't given you that much. He hasn't actually given you any work yet.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Well, Flick, on the other hand, as he's coming up from below deck, he sees the crew of the ship. And for one moment, he feels rather comfortable that that he's finally with a crew on board a ship. On the other hand, they are a crew of undead. He does not have the best experience with undead, so he kind of doesn't really not like cringes, but like looks a little.
He withdraws a little bit.
Yeah, he withdraws a little bit out of kind of self-preservation or some form of self-preservation. He pulls up his cowl or hood over his head, his ears poking through little slits in it. And he kind of focuses his attention towards the highest point in the ship, hands behind his back, eagerly awaiting his new employer.
Okay. Anybody else?
Erin, for the most part of her life, being pretty much landlocked, I think she's just like very curiously surveying her surroundings and looking around at everyone and looking around, like just around on the ship, because she's never actually been on one.
Okay. Well, the ship itself, as Ari put it, is almost like something out of something out of the mind of Tim Burton. The rigging looks almost like gossamer spider webs. The sails themselves are ragged at the edges, but no holes in them. That does not actually translate very well to locomotion. The railings are lit by what you look like gas lanterns, lit with a blue flame, with semi-opaque glass and wrought iron hulls. The ship itself is built out of a dark ebony wood. The helm, standing high above the top deck, is rimmed in what almost looks like spiked fencing. The helm itself is a large, imposing wheel, and at the end of the ship is the maidenhead, which instead of a shapely-looking woman, as with some of the ships, is instead a skeletal gargoyle. The crow's nest is itself also suitably gothic-looking, with high metal fencing and a singular one-eyed ghoul sitting perched on top of it, who never takes his eye off of the horizon. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Siri, if you had anything else.
Oh no, that's it.
Varg watches the hustle and bustle of the deck workers for a moment before kind of walking over to the railing, mostly to get out of people's ways, before slightly bending forward just low enough so that one of his hands can brush over the wood beneath his feet.
Your hand comes away and it's a little bit muddy. There's seawater and sand. The floor itself feels like wood, hardwood. Nothing much else comes away. What are you looking for?
I have simply done as, or rather Varg has done as was asked of him. Hands on deck, right?
Beautiful.
Hold on, I'll be right back. I need to see something.
Oh.
Weird. Okay, we're fine.
What's up?
My headphones were doing a static sound, and I thought it was maybe my
No,
phone.
it's I'm hearing that too.
Leave the call and rejoin.
No, it
no,
just
oh,
ended.
that was.
Yeah,
I think it was because Peppy muted himself. I think it was background noise from his mic.
yeah, I could hear it.
Oh.
It went away though.
It's gone. It's good.
Yeah.
So,
Here.
anybody else? As there's the odd. You're getting a few odd looks, Bark, as you're sort of kneeling there with your hand touching the deck.
And I thought I took things a little too literally.
Guess
There you go.
people already, did their part.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have the funny fox just kind of look around and just kind of find somewhere to sit and just wait for whatever goes.
Well, there are a few crates to the sides that have been strapped down for the voyage, and a few barrels as well that have been locked in place with rope. You could make a suitable chair out of any of those.
Box it is.
Okay, as she takes a dainty seat on one of the boxes. Anybody else? Okay. All right then. It's after a few minutes that your employer, the man in the veil, strides up next to the banister, or behind the banister up by the helm, looking down and addressing all of you as the crowd falls into a hush. There was some chatter before, the odd looks here and there, people measuring each other up. As the man stands, gazes down at all of you, and as the sun begins to set and the evening slowly transitions into dark, he pulls his veil off, revealing a relatively young face, something you would ascribe to maybe a 17 or 18-year-old boy. As he clears his throat and says, "Attention, all crewmates. Thank you. Each of you is here because you are in search of something particular. Knowledge, ambition, or simply cold hard gold. I fully intend to deliver. Let it be known, though, each of you is expected to pull your weight. Those of you who I've picked up recently, you are here on... Sorry, got something cut in my throat. Each of you has been brought on board for a particular purpose. I saw something in you. I saw potential. I'm not going to give you some sort of lecture about becoming a great leader and showing you all your true potential. No, that is for you to realize. And I have not convinced myself, nor have I aggrandized myself as such, to think that I will necessarily be the one to draw it out of you. This is a job. If it is to your satisfaction or not, you fulfill your end of the bargain, and I will do mine. And then we may part ways, or we may continue in a fruitful partnership. Let it be known that this is not a job that will be easy. There will be danger. There will be uncharted wilderness. There will be animals and monsters and bandits. The uncharted north, the frontier, is not hospitable. And the people who have fled there did so to seek refuge in lawless lands, avoiding their obligations and their responsibilities. My ask of you is to seek them out, reclaim what they took, and do with it what they would not. The men and women who I originally invested in, much like yourselves, did the unforgivable. They broke the sanctity of a contract. I put my money and my time into them. They took that money and they fled north. That money was supposed to go into establishing a settlement, which would become a stepping stone for further cultivation and civilization of the northern frontier. What I ask of you is to pursue these people, reclaim that which they took from me, and then refused to pay back what they owed, the loan that they took, the time and the training I invested in them, and absconded with. Return to me. I will see that you are duly compensated. And those that wish to remain may join me in my endeavor to found a settlement that will hopefully write the history of the North for the days to come.
Would you prefer them dead or alive?
That matters little to me, only that my property is returned. If they are alive, then they may enjoy time in the jails and the gulags of the Mordani. If they are dead, well, they knew the risks of what they were going to do. If anybody still has an objection to these terms of this contract, you may disembark and find other ways off the island. If not, my advisor and my assistant, he motions to his first mate, has a stack of contracts. Line up and sign them. Press your thumb to the page and leave behind a singular bloody fingerprint. Show to bind the contract to you by blood. If this is to your satisfaction, then I will happily have you aboard.
Remy, I'm gonna send you a message.
Mm-hmm. Following this announcement, a few of the people asked to be let off the boat, so the crowd thins a little bit.
Well, Kari will kind of step forward and kind of size the guy up a little bit. Not like in a threatening manner, but more so
Sense
trying to
motive kind of way.
Yeah, in a sense and motive kind of way. I guess I could roll for it if that's okay, but I don't really think I'm too good at that. But
if you're looking to try and get the guy's measure, that would be sense motive.
I suppose I'll check. Oh man, I don't even. I'm trying to even find the sense motive on the sheet.
It'll be at the bottom.
Ah, there it is. There it is.
Roll for it.
Not great, but 15.
Oh, 15? What exactly?
That's what I was about to explain. I mean, Kari's gonna kind of look the guy up and down, and again, he'll not in an intimidating way, albeit it might be a little hard being a tall, buff dragon man. He'll kind of look down and go, I don't know what your game is. But I'm not a hired killer, and I'm not going to end the life of someone just at your beck and call. I hope you understand this.
As I said, dead or alive does not matter to me.
That's not what I mean. If I sign this contract, I'm letting you know that I am not your slave, and if you ask me to do something that I disagree with, I will not be doing it.
I'm not asking you to be my slave. You are not my indentured
know-
servant. Let me finish. If the terms of the contract are not agreeable to you, then that is as it is. But I am hiring you to collect a debt, and once that's done, the contract will be finished. It is not within my power to ask you to do any more. That would be breaching my own end of the contract.
Then I see no problem with this.
The breadth of this contract is simply for the collection of a debt that needs to be paid back. How you go about that, how you do it, not for me to inform, nor to determine.
Then I suppose we have an agreement. I can work with that. He'll make his way over to the contracts.
Old Kari would be in a stuttering mess.
Yeah, this is
Yes, he
Kari
would.
after he grew up a little bit. He got, he grew up quite a bit after he left. He left the mountains at 19. Oh, he left the mountains at 18. He's like 22 now.
Just like how this is Heavensfield Mallory, this is Heavensfield Kari.
So, those who line up go up to a small desk that has been set out, where the first mate has a quill and a knife, as well as a stack of contracts. Those that line up are prompted to sign their name, then prick their thumbs, and then press it to the contract.
As Siren lines up, there's probably like a couple people in front of her in the line. I think she would also try to get a sense of this businessman to see if he is the type of person to kind of swindle people.
Okay.
Based on contracts.
Give me a sense motive and a knowledge history.
Okay.
Oh boy, here we go. Sense motive's my favorite.
Okay. 19 for sense motive, 18 for knowledge history.
Okay. So for the sense motive, the man who has employed you seems very direct and earnest, and in a way almost offended that someone would imply that he would go outside the bounds of his contract. And you know from the culture that he hails from, now surrounded by what you are, you recognize this man to be a man of the Mordani, a culture of vampires who are impartial and neutral, and act almost like this part of the world's bankers, lawyers, and financiers. In Mordani, when in the Mordani Confederacy, when a contract is signed, when a deal is made, it is followed to the letter. To go outside of this is highly punishable within their culture. It is extremely looked down upon and shunned to break your word. Now, to say that they follow everything to the spirit, that's not what they're known for, but they are known to be masters of the letter of the law and the contract. As a matter of fact, some skilled conjurers know spells specifically to summon a vampire lawyer in their time of need.
Okay. And I think, as she's kind of like behind a few people in the line, Siren would like to cast Detect Magic and see if there's a magical aura of any school emanating from the contracts themselves.
Okay. Focusing the thing is, Detect Magic emanates in a cone from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, first of all, a few overlapping cones of divination emanating from a few other people in line.
Mm-hmm.
But when you focus on the contracts themselves, they emanate no magic whatsoever.
Okay. Do I get any kind of aura from the knife?
The knife? No.
Okay, gotcha.
For all intents and purposes, everything on that desk is mundane.
Okay.
As the line shortens and folks come and go through, the stack of blank papers shortens, and the stack of tall papers, or the stack of signed papers, rises. Assuming there is no objections from anybody else in the party, this continues smoothly.
I will say. Oh.
I would like you or me. You or me. You pick.
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
As Chico approaches the contracts, she would like to pick one up and ask the person who hired her and say, excuse me, I don't mind signing the contract, but do I have to cut my hand for this? Being covered in fur and blood, it's a real mess to clean, and it's minor, but do I have to cut my hand for this?
The first mate appraises you for a second and says, unfortunately, this is how we establish a show of trust. Once the contracts have been passed to my master, he then looks up to the helm, he will do the same for himself and press his own thumb to it.
All right. Well, if it can't not be done, I guess she signed the contract. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Damn lawyers.
Anyways,
Varg would really quickly ask to be handed the contract in advance so he can go through it meticulously.
Excellent. This is why he looked for you. What would we go with here?
You are free to go with the others first.
Mm-hmm. Peppy, what were you going for?
in the complete opposite of Chico, as the guy sort of hands over the knife to for him to prick his thumb with it or something, Holo's gonna be like, no need, and then he's gonna take his thumb to the top of his mouth, where his very fucking sharp like teeth are, and just gently rake his thumb across his teeth, and then he's gonna place it right there.
Oh,
yeah.
How
He'll
unsanitary.
The first mate, who is a smaller looking man with a hunchback, will work his eyebrow at you and say, "Well, that's all all well and good as well. Blood is blood."
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. When Kari goes up, he's gonna take the knife, he's gonna prick his right thumb and press it in. And then he's gonna take his left thumb and press it in on the other side. Just boop, boop. Just remembering something. Okay.
Interesting.
Now I have a blood pact.
Unnecessary, but interesting. And then...
No, it's necessary.
Whereas he finished that, Holo will also hold up Lolo and be like, does she have to prick her thumb as well? And then he's just holding up this capybara.
That's quite alright. Pets aren't necessary. Pets don't need to sign the contract.
Okay.
Or else we would be getting several horses, a bird, and a pig to do the same.
A pig?
Some people have unusual companions. Please.
Fair enough.
We have a lot of people in line.
Yes, and he will get out of line.
As a Holo comes out of line, actually, would I have heard the exchange between Karya and Stanislav from before, or would that have been too far away?
I mean, that was pretty... I feel like he walked up in the middle of... right at the end of his speech and went, I don't know if I trust you. So yeah, I'm sure you heard him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, Flick will quietly take note of Karya's speech. Interesting enough, during that speech, kind of looking between the two, one of his ears would have kind of twitched a little bit, the little tuft on the end, kind of waving about like a little tassel. And then as he heads up to sign his contract. He puts on his best smile, stands up straight, chest out front, and as he ascends the stairs, he says, "My good Sir Stanislav, you have called upon the aid of a mighty sellsword, and my privateering expertise, I do believe I am to please." And he curtsies.
He will. Now that his veil is off, you can clearly see his grin at the aplomb and the showmanship, as he then nods his head, chuckles to himself, and says, "Then, mighty sellsword, please, with all haste, sign your contract so we may hasten and more quickly enjoy your patronage."
Oh yes, of course. Some of this motley crew, I believe, with our diverse skill sets, we can achieve just about anything. Don't you agree?
My thoughts precisely.
Flick will give a nice grin, another bow, and he will sign his contract, holding back a wince as his thumb is pricked.
Don't you just love sharing blood?
And as he steps away, he mutters to himself, "Just my luck, blood contract."
Wonderful. Vark, I would ask for do you have appraisal or appraise?
Let me check. Class skill, yes. Skill ranks in it, no.
Well, if you're not trained in it, then you can't well use it.
At best, I might have diplomacy. Knowledge nobility, maybe.
Knowledge nobility may help.
If it helps, I have appraise.
Okay.
Knowledge nobility. Give that a try.
Okay. And I am actually going to use inspiration on this for free, since it's a knowledge skill, for an extra 1d6.
Oops, I thought my mic's muted. Sorry about that.
Knowledge nobility, public role.
Beautiful. So with a 25. Going over your past readings. Say now a 28. So going over your past perusals. The volume of literature that you've gone over before, very little of it actually had to do with contract law. After all, the previous owner tended to be more of an erudite in terms of things magical, arcane, and things more pertaining to that. Not much to do with contracts and employment, though she did speak occasionally of jobs she undertook to fill her pockets, make ends meet. Not much that lined up exactly with this, but there was some time she spoke of dealing with jobs under the nobility and merchants and other such. She did occasionally speak of times where she worked under the Mordani. Because of all other things, they are fair employers. They stick to their word. If you are meticulous and careful about the contracts you craft with them and the contracts you sign, they will always pay promptly and in full. And they always honor their terms of the contract, so long as you make the correct stipulations. Going over the contract in front of you, it's fairly basic. Obviously, this was made for people who may or may not be literate or capable in terms of things like law and reading. Of course, the fact that there is a contract at all to begin with assumes a certain minimum that Stanislav expects of the people he takes onto his boat. But things are put in a fairly simplistic light. It says, for the duration of the contract, you will be expected to fulfill your arrangement, the requirements of which are you must venture north to you are expected to venture north to the listed area, find the persons of interest, regain the resources allocated and wrongfully taken, and return them to the employer, that being Stanislav. There is some fine print at the bottom. Reading through it, you see that it is both in Common and in Necro.
Varg actually has a magnifying glass.
Okay, you pull that out.
out.
Pull that out. You inspect it, and it does outline some things like the fact that when you sign this contract, you're expected to fulfill it, no matter how long it takes, for perpetuity and throughout the entirety of the universe. Yeah, and should you be unable to fulfill your terms of the contract, you will be fined in excess of something like 10,000 gold, or be expected to serve out indentured servitude until such a time as that the damages have been repaid. There's also a subclause. Do you speak Necro?
Unfortunately not, no.
No. Okay.
I actually... Oh, well, you're reading it. I was about to say, if you read it out loud, funny enough, Karya does.
Unfortunately,
Just I speak.
Unfortunately, you're not like reading over his shoulder at the moment. So
Yeah, just stand... Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
Hey, what you
Oh.
doing?
Oh,
What you
hey,
reading?
Mags, thanks for following.
Hey, Mags.
You got games on your phone?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're reading into the fine print, and there is a small subclause that should you not have the required gold, or the physical capability to render services as such to repay any damages incurred, you are allowed to submit and donate blood in lieu. A little thing you know about from your knowledge of the Mordani Confederacy is that blood is worth its weight in gold there. In fact, more. Blood flows like currency as well as food there. It is accepted as a form of currency as well as a form of nourishment.
Okay.
What's worth more, a gallon of blood or a pound of flesh?
Blood. Flesh is only really good to the ghouls.
So, Stanislav,
As in,
question if you may.
as in you're getting his attention from where he's standing above.
Correct.
He will look down and put his hands on the banister and say, "A question then. I have answers."
Hopefully. You say the contract states that failing to bring back the things you desire to be brought back incur a penalty, a fine.
That they do.
What if the things you wish to be reclaimed are damaged or unrecoverable through means not of our own?
So long as you manage to demonstrate that beyond a reasonable doubt, then the penalty will not fall upon you. That will lay solely upon those who absconded with my resources. Mostly a large lump of gold. Should they not have that, well, that just means a greater penalty will have to be put upon them if they're brought back alive. I do not assume that you are going to squirrel it away for yourself, though statistically speaking, there are some of you who will attempt this. Make no mistake, I do not brook such behavior. Contract signed is a contract that must be honored. But if you're worried about me assuming, and obviously those who absconded are not people of repute, and to think that they may have stashed or destroyed or otherwise already spent all the resources allocated to them is not a far gone conclusion. and I will not rush to make a determination about you. I am fair in the terms of my contract.
In the unfortunate case that we are to be fined for our failures, the clause about being able to pay in blood,
Mm-hmm.
does it have to be ours?
No, it does not.
Very well. And he approaches the man with a knife. But before he actually lets himself get pricked / cut,
Mhm.
Varg taking extra care to basically hold the contract in one hand that he holds away from him. He snaps his fingers, and between his fingers a little flame appears, and he holds it up to the tip of the knife. Holds it there for a bit.
Oh, I see. Clever.
Until the metal starts glowing just a little bit. Snaps again, flame vanishes. And then he quickly jabs himself on its edge and signs the contract.
There's a slight burn from the heat of the tip of the blade.
Take 1 damage.
And the blood sizzles a little bit as it sits on the cooling metal. You press your thumb to the contract, and your fingerprint is left behind. There's a further grin from Stanislav as he watches what you're doing. He seems impressed. Anybody else?
Yurin jumps off the side of the ship. No, I'm kidding.
Woman overboard, let her drown. No.
He'll push his
Little
multiple
new character.
overboard. Kidding.
Let's see. Yeah. I believe that's everybody except for Mallory. Would you like to say anything, or would you like to move on?
I think that, like Vark, Mallory kind of gleans over the contract since he is pretty experienced in logistical stuff, having governed Barony himself. He's pretty used to the format of such contracts and knows how to efficiently read one.
That he would. He is an expert in these things. It takes barely a moment to look over this before you. This is simplistic by the stuff by standards of the stuff you're used to drawing. There are clauses in there for reimbursement and such, but there's little doubt that you're going to be able to fulfill this. And regardless, there are plenty of ways to reimburse him should this happen.
Now, Mallory, without a worry, signs the contract.
Wonderful. With that, I believe that is everybody. Stanislav then pushes himself off the banister, claps his hands a couple times, and says, "Very well then. All those who are remaining are still on board. Contracts are signed. And I believe it is about time we set sail. Those of you who wish to find me, I will be in my quarters for the majority of the trip, especially when the daylight is out. In the meantime, the crew will take care of your needs. A fantastic benefit of having a mostly undead crew is that they never tire, nor do they question. And if you should ever need any sort of help, or if you wish for food of any sort, well, banquets are not necessarily within my reach. Not this far out, and not on this budget. However, we have enough for the trip back and forth, and we'll be resupplying when we get home.
I think if we anchor, I can get us some fresh fish.
Oh, delicious.
Beautiful. If you do that, if you wish to reinforce our stocks, I will make sure you are compensated. That goes for anybody else. If you're looking for extra work aboard the ship and wish to help, That is another way in which you may further earn some compensation. But for those of you who I have hired on, nothing is expected of you until we hit land, at which point we will be joining up, forming a caravan, and you will all make your way north while I remain home and administer things from my office. I will have an intermediary who will be in communication, and I will be once the job is complete and I have gotten word, I shall make my way north to then rendezvous with all of you and see that the terms of the contract are finished. After that, we can talk about potential further compensation and, for those who are interested, future employment.
So the ship is setting off, correct?
Yes, it is setting sail.
Okay, then. Then before we leave, I need to get this. So with the ship before it leaves, Kari is gonna kind of put two fingers in his mouth and just kind of let out one of those like loud whistles. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. And he'll call for his brother to get there.
Okay. Can he fly it? I don't believe he can fly it, can he?
I think he can. I just don't think I can. Well, technically I could ride him, but that's ridiculous.
You guys go on your ship. I have a better ride.
No, I don't want him to fly. Like that's the thing. I just want him to get here. I'm not gonna make him fly and follow the ship.
I would like to, actually, Chaiko would like to, it is, what's it called, fuck, what's his name? What was his name again?
The dragon?
Not Vair.
Oh.
The vampire.
Yes.
Yes, before letting off, he would fully introduce himself as, and for those who did not read it on the contract, some of you know me as Stanislav. You may know me as Baron Stanislav von Vostroyev.
Could you write that name down to us?
Yes, some of you would have read it on the contract. Allow me to put it in the roll 20. 1 second.
Okay. As he's saying this, Flick will raise a hand and he'll ask with a bit of a interested look, with a bit of curious look. Will you need any help navigating the seas, Stanislav?
Well, if you're looking to be useful on the trip back to Mordani, well, I don't see any reason why I can't have a chance to evaluate your abilities as a navigator if you think you're capable. And
yes, I could lend a hand in that regard, if need be.
And if indeed you are capable enough, you may find yourself as lead navigator or perhaps one of the navigators on the caravan. After all, it wouldn't do to get lost going north.
Of course. Yeah, Flick will say that with a same kind of a smile he gives before. Before
Yes.
kind of sinking back into his withdrawn mood from earlier.
Okay, also, I should make a 1 second.
Yeah, I was about to say, do we have a shared notes tab on Roll20? Because
Notes.
I
I'm going to make.
I don't recall.
Let's see. It's in all players. It can be edited by all players. Go. Party. Let's see. Party notes. There you go. And I'm going to stick that down in the handout section.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, down in the notes.
Awesome.
There we go.
So Stanislav von Vostroyev?
Yes.
The
Von
man
Vostroyev.
is the man who hired us.
Stanislav von Vostroyev, yes.
What a name, I love it.
Lovely name. What a name of all time.
Mm-hmm. So the ship sets sail. You are carried adrift on the ocean as the ship begins sailing in what originally would have been what you would have thought would be a straight shot west, but actually makes something of a curve northward. What do you call it? Flick knows this because there is something of a tidal issue if you go into the deeper parts of the Korok Sea that would end up turning the boat quite egregiously and just make you end up spending more time. So it actually serves better to make something of a northward berth around that. And it's after a few weeks on board that you begin to see the oncoming shore. The approaching land of the Mordani Confederacy, which is somehow shrouded itself in not night but gloom, almost perpetually. The large Gothic spires of the city and the massive castle sitting up atop the mountain that guards what is known as the Immortal Strait, the stretch of water between the Eridine Empire and the Mordani Confederacy. That castle staunchly guards and collects the tolls of all the ships that pass through that strait. Those with some knowledge in history know that this is how they first started rising to financial prominence, by collecting tolls from all ships that pass through. That's how the people of the Mordani first really started to become financial powerhouses in their area, which eventually led to them snowballing a little bit, becoming an economic powerhouse in this area of the world, and then becoming pretty much the de facto bankers. The one internationally accepted mint, as well as the one internationally accepted banking system, is impartially run and centered in the Mordani Confederacy. Every gold coin you carry that is, at the very least, minted in this area came from, or at one point passed through, the banks of the Mordani. Trim Halo, thank you for following. Welcome in, take a seat, please enjoy. We're going to be wrapping up relatively soon, as a matter of fact. Started just a tiny bit late, but still made good time. Character introductions have been made. The ship is underway, and this is the part of Berserk where they stay on the boat for perpetuity.
This is the part where a certain SMR captain
Yeah,
rides our boat.
Once upon a time, stop the entire fucking story. Yes.
I want to get off Stanislav's wild ride.
Don't forget you're here forever.
And then a large galleon appears in the distance, blows up a ship in the distance.
Mm.
Varg in his room, on the wall, do it for her.
Yeah, poor boy. But yes, it is at this point. Now it's not required, but if sometime in between this session and the next, as for the intents of allowing some character interaction, you guys want to talk to one another about how characters may cross paths and speak to one another, roleplay with one another, you may. I understand if you don't want to. I understand if that's asking a little bit this early in.
You role-playing in my role-playing game?
Yes.
No.
I'd say this is just about the right point to wrap it up.
Heck no, I hate all of you.
God. But yes, no, if you want to do a little bit of roleplay between each other, there's going to be a couple of weeks between the journey from Haven to the Mordani Confederacy, where you guys will have full liberty and reason to come across one another, whether it's at the mess hall, or if it's on deck, if it's talking to Stanislav about terms of employment. Please feel free. But I think that's about it for today. Thank you all.
Sounds good.
Very much.
Before we wrap up,
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
Just one last outro. Thank you all very much for showing up. Thank you guys very much for playing.
Of course.
as we start this
Always.
brand new story, and I hope it goes great
My
places.
card for this.
I imagine everything will probably be really kicking up next week.
Yeah, I mean that's when we're gonna really start the story itself. Yes.
Holo
I fixed
Holo's
my
gonna
card
jump
for
into the
this.
ocean.
This is where things really go off track and go in a completely different direction. And I lied to you all, and no. You were.
Okay, so
Betrayal.
important question.
Mhm.
Where is the red dragon, and when can you find it?
The red dragon.
Deception. Disgrace.
I'm sorry. What was
I
that?
mean,
The red
Yeah,
dragon.
red. Yes.
Oh, he's talking about the ancient dragon from the last.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, that was a.
the big one that collapsed an island on top of itself.
Yes. When do we get to see him again?
I don't know. Dig deep enough.
On it, Chief.
And how about we wait till we're a higher level to do that as well?
Yeah, it's not a bad.
Oh come on,
this time.
guys.
I did have a
That's an easy
question.
10,000 gold.
Easy.
That's true. Really fun. Hey, Karia made a friend that day. Okay.
Did he?
No, but
No.
he made someone who recognizes
He made
him.
an acquaintance at best.
He saved already kinda ish.
Yes.
But don't kill us. Just don't
Yeah.
bother the humans. Quick
Certainly,
question.
he
Joe.
Yeah. What is it, Frank?
Quest. Yeah. No, I was just asking. Did Vair show up?
Oh
'Cause-
right, I glossed over that bit. Because I was actually looking to see if he actually has flight.
He does. He has 40 feet of flight.
Right. Yes. Yeah. He would, circling in, look for a good angle, and then after the deck has cleared off a little bit and people have started to go downstairs, make a landing on the deck of the ship and then take up a position next to you, as there is now a very lithe, sort of trim-looking, purplish, carapaced dragon ling next to Karia.
Oh my.
It'll be pretty funny, like character-specific redeems for points and stuff like that.
Well, I'm always taking suggestions.
Please do not.
Make Tycho be nice. 500. No.
I mean,
Seems too. That seems too
not-
cheap.
It
what
turned
do you
Tycho into
mean?
Jim.
Chaco's been nice the entire time. What do you mean?
Yes, she has. Aiko, you mean? Yes, she's been very nice.
Our 10,000 point redeem make Mallory happy.
Oh, poor boy.
An arduous task.
Okay, quick question.
10,000 points,
Aiko.
antidepressants for the party.
Ooh.
So what is it?
So, is there during this session, the next one, is there anything I can, Tycho can technically do while to help the crew at all?
Well, all kinds of things. Whether it's like, and this goes for everybody.
Nice,
Whether it's cooking, helping with the rigging, helping with navigation, administration. There's all kinds of things that go into making a ship run.
At any point, if the sea is calm enough and the ship is just kind of moving slow enough, I will dive into the water and attempt to catch fish for people.
I will help with the cooking.
And
Give
Flick
it-
will definitely help
give
with
us that-
navigation.
Definitely help with that. Give it that motherly taste that Net doesn't have.
Just like Mama used to make.
Wait, you're my mom? Yes. Oh, perfect redeem idea.
What's the mother?
Impromptu Holo Literature Club session.
Oh boy.
Holo Literature Club. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Just Chaiko. Just Chaiko. Just Chaiko.
It becomes even more cursed.
God.
Just Chaiko.
God. And
No,
now you have to sing a song when it all ends. Anyway, no. So thank you very much, everybody who dropped on by, everybody who stayed, all those who didn't. Take care of each other. Be excellent to one another. It's a rough world out there. And once again, everybody, thank you for showing up. I am very happy to have this finally on the way.
Absolutely. It's been a long time coming and we worked hard.
Yes.
It took us 5 months.
So, Seeing as we have
worth it,
a
though.
decent amount of people, I think it's only fair we raid out to somebody and share the love.
The Dungeon Lounge was
Yeah.
open, but now they're not.
Yeah, they were
Oh, that's a
playing
Yeah,
the
that's
game.
a shame.
if you want, we could turn our attention to Reyna for her soft debut.
That's true. That's going right now, and she's going to be going for a few days yet. Do. God damn it, Ari. Let's see. Yeah, there's of all the people that are currently going, there's Maramizu. I believe she's one of Mathis's partners. She's got about 15 people. Then there's also Reyna. Yeah, let's hit up Reyna. So
Hells yeah.
I hope.
let's start the raid to Reyna the Mouse. Never actually sat around and watched too much.
Rainy Reyna?
Reyna the
Yo.
Mouse.
She has
my
been so
mouse-
kind to let us be there and to be an absolute menace while we're on there. So I feel it's only fair.
Tis only fair.
Tis only fair.
Feels weird being actually nice for once. Ugh, I
Oh
hate it.
no, it's very different from what do you call it, Lumusi back in the day. Jesus.
Yeah.
You're right about
I
that one,
love
Laden.
that-
Go fuck yourself, DM.
I'd like to mention though that Peppy was like Karia from 3 years ago wouldn't have been like this. It was just really funny.
So,
Hey,
I slightly disagree with that because Karya from 3 years ago was the type to walk up to the captain of a boat and say, "Your ship is mine now."
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Stanislaw, I don't trust you with this boat. I'm gonna take over this boat, okay?
I'm gonna take your ship.
I'm gonna take your ship. My favorite part about the original.
You can have my slaves.
Holy crap! I get to
No,
boat.
I love how the original thing was like, oh, stupid name. I'm gonna rename it.
That's a dumb name.
It's
Yeah.
a dumb name.
I love how it was glossed over that I made you all my slaves.
Pretty much, yeah. As you basically went like, if you lose, all of you guys are now like we call it press ganged into my crew, and you went like, yeah, that's okay, and everybody like asked nobody else if they were okay with that being put up for collateral.
Well, this is Quest von Faustus' favorite rocket ship.
Mm.
His magic school bus signing off.
Yep.
Have a nice day,
Thank you all very much for coming by. I will throw you all towards
Bye, y'all.
Reyna. Take care. Thank you very much, and enjoy. Reyna is doing her soft debut. She's debuted her new model, or at least advertised it, and she's having fun with some Pokemon. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Hellsy.
Later, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. And there we go.
Bye.